is the legal route which is active in court, and we know that there is nothing that stays in court forever. It will be concluded. And secondly, it is the well-known fact that even if this particular matter is brought to an end in the courts of law, the repatriation should never take place to the exclusion of the former family. It is the wish of President Hakainde Hichilema and the government, as they have indicated, that even after this particular legal battle has come to a conclusion, there should be a platform for engagement to persuade the former first family to agree with government to go and bury former President Edgar Lungu.
The corruption case of South Africa's former National Assembly Speaker Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula has been postponed to the 21st of November. The High Court in Pretoria granted the postponement after her defense team requested more time to study the docket, which was only handed to them last week. Mapisa-Nqakula faces 12 counts of corruption and one of money laundering linked to her tenure as defense minister between the year 2016 and 2019. She is accused of receiving about $250,000 in bribes from defense contractor Nomba Santsondwa Ndlovu in exchange for facilitating tenders with the South African National Defence Force. Lawyers say they need additional time to issue subpoenas for bank statements and to consult with their client before possibly making representation to the National Director of Public Prosecutions. Mapisa-Nqakula's counsel advocate, Ronnie Kriel.
We have received the disclosure. We need to peruse the dockets, take instructions, and then there are further subpoenas that we need to issue for information back statements. That will take approximately 6 weeks to finalise. We would therefore request that the matter be postponed under your discretion until the 21st of November 2025 to finalise the pre-trial issues.
The spokesperson of the South African National Convention, Reverend Zoitravo Nevutalu, is calling on ordinary people and civic organizations to decide on issues they want discussed at the National Dialogue. Nevutalu says they found out during the National Convention over the weekend that most sectors want to be part of the National Dialogue. He says the dialogue is for everyone and people must be free to raise issues that they want resolved.
It exceeded our expectations. As we were moving to the National Convention, it was a difficult period. I think the way it worked out, the response of the sectors, of ordinary citizens, conversations to prepare for the national dialogue in the convention were very, very positive. We had a little bit of hiccups, but the two big issues, there were sectors who felt they had not been accommodated in all the sectors which were invited.
The Government of National Unity in South Africa needs a reset to ensure its effective political management. Rise Mzansi party leader Songezo Zibi gave a status report of the party's first year in the executive and parliament to the media in Rosebank, Johannesburg. Zibi has lamented that while party leaders interact within cabinet, there is little engagement on the political party level within the GNU, hence difficulties experienced with passing the national budget and the Basic Education Laws Act as examples.
I am hoping that the meeting that we all undertook to have as GNU leaders is going to take place so that we can get on with devising a more cohesive political and legislative program where it's not just in the executive, it's how the caucuses work together in parliament within reason, because the parties have not merged. They still have their respective identities. But we need regular and scheduled meetings of the leaders of the GNU, all the parties represented in. There needs to be a hotline to iron out interpersonal issues, as well as a full functioning of the clearinghouse mechanism, which last met in March. It's now going to be September.
Lastly, Israel is under renewed pressure to allow more food aid into the Gaza Strip, where hunger is worsening. The Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa and Egypt's Foreign Minister Bad Abdelati are visiting the Rafah border crossing to highlight the problem. The Gaza side is closed and under Israeli military control. Long queues of trucks loaded with supplies wait to be cleared to enter through another Israeli crossing nearby. For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Mtsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
on a Monday morning, afternoon. That's much better. Thank you. Hey, it's nice to have people that went to school, you see, for this kind of thing. Okay, welcome to it. This is the Upside, the Monday edition. We are 18 days into the month of August 2025. Welcome to the show. The Upside is brought to you by Channel Africa with Tebogo, Lekhuleni and myself, Mmatsheko, Mosito. We in each other's company until 4 p.m. and it is always a pleasure. We hope that you had a fabulous weekend, one that perhaps you may want to tell us about, okay? Perhaps during what caught your eye or any moment, really. It's a shared space. So you're welcome to interact and engage with us on social media. Just search for Channel Africa everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of it. We are there. Happy new day, happy new week, Tebogo. How are you?
Happy new week to you too, Mmatsheko Mosito. I'm fantastic. I tell you what, I had a great weekend, pleasant weekend, and I'll tell you all about it during
Super.
what caught your eye. How are you doing? How was the weekend?
The weekend was great. Restful, children, food. But I'm really just grateful for the rest. Listen, when I can rest, that is lux in my universe.
I love that for you. I tell you what, if you're a South African sport lover, this weekend was not the best. Let's start off by saying the Proteas lost. The Proteas lost. The Springboks lost after leading a whole 22 points to nil in the first half, at the first quarter of the first half, to losing ultimately Boma 30 something, 38-22, not scoring. Anyway, I'm not going to dissect it further. I'm sure NATO covered it properly yesterday. And then Udrikas du Plessis, the fighter, Udrikas du Plessis, lost. South Africa this weekend. Shame. I'm sorry. If you're a South African fan, if you're a South African sport lover, it didn't go well. Let's recover, guys. We'll come back stronger. Let's recover. We'll come back stronger. And here's what's coming up on the show before we digress too much. In the first hour, we talk about, so this past weekend there was an event at Sun City, and Kelvin Momo was supposed to go and perform there. Already had been paid a booking fee, and then he was a no-show. So today we dissect what impact this has on the promoters, the event organizers, the event goers, the you and me, who were very excited to see Kelvin Momo, only for him to be a no-show. But we're starting to see way too many of these occurrences from artists. Do you think it's a matter of, are you getting too big?
It could be a number of factors. That could be definitely one of them, but we obviously don't know what happens behind the scenes. Obviously, you and I get affected because we've paid to be there. You know, it's not free 99. We paid lots of money to be there, but there is an understanding that we need to understand about what the challenges are behind behind the scenes, I want to say. And also, have we agreed on the right amount? What are the terms and conditions of our agreement for me to pitch? You know, there's all sorts of things I would imagine that happen, but it's a complex world. It is. You know, eventing and promotion and all of that.
Yeah, it speaks also to professionalism and accountability, and we'll be dissecting that in the first hour. And then we talk in our property segment of the show, we talk about the difference between buying a home to live in and buying a home or a house to invest in, as an investment property. And I'll actually ask you and put you on the spotlight, because you are a homeowner and an investment property owner. So you know the two differences and what we need to look out for to inspire the next generation to get into the property space. And then we'll be joined by an amazing woman by the name of Hope Mareka. She is an actress, an award-winning radio producer, and the founder and CEO of Art Chive Media House. She'll be joining us in studio in the final hour. That's what's coming up on The Upside this Monday afternoon. It's 11 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to The Upside.
Happy Monday.
This August, we celebrate the strength, brilliance, and unstoppable spirit of African women.
It was the women themselves who strove for and got the changes by lobbying, going through NGOs, and by networking.
That's you, ladies. From the boardroom to the classroom, from the marketplace to the microphone, Women are leading, innovating, and transforming our continent every day.
Oh, here's to knowing that as a woman, your voice can change the world.
Your voice matters. Your story inspires. Your presence is powerful. This Women's Month, we honor you. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
There is something missing. What do you do? I'm not too clear. Your attitude shows that you don't care. But you tell me all the thing where me I want you. You they use me, babe. Now I got another bed and you wanna come back to me. I beg you make you leave. I don't want story. I don't want story. You don't make that again. And as I work it out, on my nerves, the all I'm sipping, yeah. If it's not working out, let me know if there's something missing, yeah, baby, oh.
SMH there by Joe Boy featuring we had the Tempo there and Victoni. Beautiful music to kick you off on the upside this afternoon on a beautiful Monday afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning into the upside on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Catch us live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa on TikTok, at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok, where you can see our lovely studio. We are audio visual now. Not only will you hear us, but you can also see us and make your conclusive judgment if the voice matches the face. You see, now they can actually do that. Back then, you were not able to. You're like, oh, this voice. Then you saw them in real life, like, does not come together, that one.
We need to talk about if that has watered down radio. You and I will talk about that a bit later.
Okay.
You know, because radio is an experience and the theatre of the mind, as people love to call it. But we'll get to that. Right now, we've got important matters to deal with, okay? Yes. It is 15 minutes into 1 p.m. and we are talking about artists just being a no-show. Okay, but there's context to the conversation because, I mean, look, booking an artist for a live event has long been considered a guaranteed way to kind of draw the crowds, to create unforgettable experience. That's what it's about. But what happens when the artist doesn't show up, despite being contracted, paid, promoted? And there's a growing number of artists that are seemingly failing to honor their commitment to pitch up at gigs and events, leaving venues empty, fans extremely frustrated. And I don't even want to talk about the promoter's pocket because, I mean, that's just devastation. So one recent example is that of DJ Calvin Momo. So just for context, he's a very popular amapiano DJ, producer. You know, he's done some amazing work. Well, he missed a headline performance at Sun City Resort. So while he issued an apology afterward, the incident underscored a large problem in the live entertainment industry. Yeah. So where do we go now for accountability? The broken trust, the increasing financial risk that comes with this. Let's talk about it. We are joined by our good friend Richard Dube. He is the creative director of Gumption Inc. Entertainment, and he's seasoned when it comes to this stuff. Okay, he's been managing artists for a long time. He has been in event promotion for many years, so he would know what to say. Richard, welcome to The Upside. Welcome to Channel Africa. So beautiful to catch up with you.
Thank you for having me, guys. I hope you are well, and thank you to the listeners for listening in. How's everybody?
We're good.
We're fantastic.
I want to start with your personal experience. Richard, talk to us about the worst experience you've had with an artist that when you think about it today, you're like, yo, I cannot believe that this has happened, and I'm still kind of trying to recover from it.
It's one too many to mention, I tell you. And the person I am, I'm not one person who's there to lambast and mention names. I will just speak on top of the context of things in perspective, because I don't want to now discredit, other people's names, because artists, yes, they have this thing of no shows, and it's very detrimental to the event brand name. It can be a festival, it can be a small intimate venue, it can be a club event. It's terrible, man. It's disheartening, Now you end up getting club owners refusing to pay artists up until they arrive, and then they start saying now club owners are not very supportive of artistry because of such things. It's devastating indeed.
Richard, who do we hold accountable in such a situation? Do we hold the artist accountable? Do we hold their manager accountable? Because someone has to hold accountability when an artist is a no-show.
It's both. The one thing that is quite prevalent in the music industry is management really taking things into their own hands without necessarily taking issues further to the artist itself. Because most artists, they make mistakes of just hiring their managers based on, he's my cousin, we grew up together, or we went to high school together. They're not working with managers that are really committed to the craft. It's a big issue that needs to be addressed at large, because management with artistry is a key factor in the growth of an artist, you understand? I'll give you an example of a time when, because I work with Indies Oshitanyama, which is Busy Corner. I remember we booked Kelly Kumalo, and paid the money, and she got sick. She communicated, guys, I've got a terrible flu. She's in bed. And you know what she did? She practically got out of bed, came to the show, took a microphone, and announced to the clients, listen, guys, I'm very sick. I'm not going to be able to perform for you. I guarantee you this coming week or 2 weeks from now, I'll be feeling better. I'll come give you the best performance you can ever do. You can never get from me. And for sure, when she came back, she wowed the crowd. Now, that's accountable.
Yeah.
That's standing up for your ground. That's being professional. And it's a team effort from both the manager and the artist. So you cannot necessarily blame the artist at most times. It's the management that messes things up a lot of times.
Oh man, thank you for sharing that example. That is literally just really dedication on another level, but also a fine example, because at the end of the day, this is a job. You are working. What you're doing here is working. Yes, it's entertaining, but at the end of the day, people are getting paid. You're getting booked to deliver a service, and you've got to do it. So this is us in conversation with Richard Dube. He is an artist manager and also creative director of Gumption Inc. Entertainment. We're talking about what must happen. What happens when a big headlining artist misses a performance? In this context, we're talking about a recent event that took place in South Africa with DJ Calvin Momo having missed a performance out at Sun City Resort. It's 21 minutes past 1. We'll be right back.
Stella Longwe pamalonje.
Palitusokoma pano pamalonje kumvera nyimbo za mu Africa kusangalala kupeza moyo akuti kumva moyo kuti kuyenda bwino pano pamalonje ndiyetu apa tili ndikatswiri oyimba ameneyu ndikatswiri wa dziko la Malawi amene akukhala mdziko la South Africa ndipo amayimba amene akuti ndi Big Nick Malawi. Yatusati kuti kodi moyo wanu woyimba ukuyenda bwanji mu Johannesburg?
Moyo woyimba ukuyenda bwinobwino kwambiri chiliyonse chikutheka ndithu bwinobwino.
Ayi aziwoneka chiliyonse chikutheka mofa magrasi anu apa mwaka akuti kumenya yonse aziwoneka zoti azikutheka ndithu mu Johannesburg.
Malonje pa nthawi ya 6 koloko kufikira 7 koloko madzulo lowiruka ndi Stella Longwe. Let the upside transport you from Cape to Cairo every weekday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time.
22 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome back to The Upside on Channel Africa, the African perspective. If you have any questions or perhaps would like to send a voice note to Richard concerning artists' no-show, who is held accountable? What are the repercussions? Send us a WhatsApp on our WhatsApp line +2763 406 9126. We're still in conversation with Richard Dube, artist manager and creative director at Gumption Inc. Entertainment. Richard, let's talk about, and these are sort of the basics of perhaps running a business. If you're a manager, I would like to think that when it comes to communication and customer service, these are key elements to ensure customer satisfaction. Are artist managers trained? Is there a place where they can go to be trained on these matters so that we can avoid situations like these where it seems like they don't want to be held accountable, but perhaps they just don't know how to communicate effectively, which just takes us back to the basics of just running a business and just being a manager?
Indeed, if you're gonna wanna be an artist, I personally think number one, you need to have been working in the music industry for a while to really understand the pros and cons of how the whole music industry works. Secondly, when you take on an artist to manage them or to work with them in one way or the other, you have to understand it's not only the business side of things that you're going to be dealing with. It automatically goes into managing their personal life just as much. They're sick, their kids have to be picked up from school. You practically manage their whole entire being from waking up, to being on stage. It's an artist manager's work. So for you to do that, unfortunately there is not so many, platforms where people can learn to be an artist manager or stuff like that. It's something that you have to be passionate about. Something that you have to learn. You have to understand PR. You have to understand marketing. You have to have a serious sense of business in terms of agency, delivery, customer service. Because you're not just managing their music or their personality. You are managing the whole delivery of this product that you're dealing with. It's not just a human being as an artist that you think, okay, I'm managing Calvin Momo, so now I'm the shiznit of the industry. No. It's what are you giving to the people at large, you understand?
I would imagine just to add to that, Richard, that as much as you need to, it's your personal responsibility, it's your career. You're the one that needs to know the marketing, the brand building, what else did you mention? The PR, marketing, all of that, and I would imagine that you also need to understand legalities around this. So what legal or financial recourse do promoters realistically have when artists then breach their performance agreements in this manner?
Well, it's always a civil lawsuit because as long as contracts are signed, even if it's verbal, everything verbal, as long as it's got to do with business, word is bond in general. So as a promoter, some promoters then go backward, going all of social media, hey, this person didn't pitch up. I don't think that's a good way of doing things because it also damages the artist's brand because you have to know what really went down for the artist to not make it. And then you address the issues directly with the artist, not to run to social media. On that part, promoters need to curb their enthusiasm and try to do things the rightful way, because then you're actually defaming a character. Maybe they couldn't make it because something really important in their lives happened. So how about directly speaking to the artist? Why didn't you pitch up? Then you get to understand if you come to an agreement, and then you ask for a refund. And most contracts will tell you you won't be able to get a refund based on 1, 2, 3, or you'll be able to get a refund based on 1, 2, 3. But it's between two parties. It necessarily doesn't have to go onto social media or media at large. It's not good. This is my message to an average club owner or promoter: deal with the artist directly so that you don't damage these artists' names. It's their business. It's what feeds their families. No one is perfect. People make mistakes, address issues, and fix each other up.
Richard, what impact can this have on the longevity of an artist? And I ask this because we do see some big named artists who are no shows at certain events. Maybe they issue a public apology, but they still get booked. So it seems almost as though there's no repercussions because they're such a big name. But what impact can this have on the longevity of an artist if they fail to communicate, have the right management, and just not hold themselves in a professional way when it comes to these transactions?
The business is about trust. So, in the economy of the music world, if you're not trusted, how are you going to then get genuine bookings or bigger bookings? Festival directors, festival promoters, they have to trust you as an artist. They have to trust your work ethic. So for you to garner proper longevity, you have to make sure that you operate on a very ethical way of doing things, not just as a musician, but as a business person. Because I totally believe that if you're an artist, you are a business.
You are a business. Man, we need to put that on a t-shirt. Okay, finally, let's talk about best practice recommendations then. Just based on everything you've said, all the concerns, and just reading the fine print, as it were, verbal agreements, what would you then recommend for both promoter and artist so that we can rebuild the trust and protect one another when we are involved in this kind of business?
Well, like I said before, if you're the promoter, whether it's a festival or an intimate event altogether, it is always wise to deal with issues in person. Why run social media or to media before you get the gist of things, to understand what's really happened to the artist for them to not show up? So most of these contracts are confidential. If I was an artist and I do a show and then you don't actually address it with me first and you take it all out to social, I'll sue you for defamation of character. As much as I'm on the wrong. But on the promoter side, it's always wise to address issues directly with the artist and the manager, because that's a business. We are not here to kill each other's businesses. We are here to upgrade each other, to promote each other. Anything that would have happened in the bedroom must stay in the bedroom. Fix it legally. If there's misunderstandings, then you bring in your attorneys. Simple like that.
Richard, thank you so much for your time this afternoon and for shining a light on this very important conversation. Sometimes we overlook it and just think, just another artist being dramatic. But there are repercussions. There are absolute repercussions, financial, reputational repercussions when it comes to these sort of matters. But thank you so much for your time this afternoon on The Upside.
Thank you for having me. Have a blessed day, guys.
The voice of Richard Dube, creative director and artist manager at Gumption Inc. Entertainment, telling us that there are repercussions when artists don't show up, on their managers, on the artists themselves. So if you'd like to re-listen to this conversation, check it out on www.channelafrica.co.za. It is 30 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest in sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
And a very good afternoon from the sports desk. I am Mosibudi Makura with your latest sports news at the Sawa. So South Africa come in today's crucial Crunch African Nations Championship Chan final group stage game against the host nation Uganda, knowing that nothing less than a win will guarantee them passage to the next round of this year's competition. Now, Coach Molofenseki's team are currently third in Group C behind Uganda, as well as the defending champions Algeria. Tonight at the Nelson Mandela National Stadium, they'll be up against 37,000 Uganda Crane supporters as they now attempt to reach the knockout phase of this competition for the very first time in 14 years. Nseki acknowledges that there's no place to hide for any team in search, of course, for a quarter-final place.
Important match for every team in Group C, because we are fully aware that whoever has to play well tomorrow and win the game between us and Uganda will go through. The winner between Algeria and Niger. Also, Algeria is playing that game to win, so that they can also give themselves a chance to go to the next phase of the tournament, which will be the quarterfinals.
Meanwhile, since losing their opening match 3-0 to Algeria, Uganda have been on a high in this year's tournament, scoring 5 goals in their last 2 matches. Nzeki says they know what is at stake in this encounter and is also banking on the experience of his technical team to prepare the team well for this demanding assignment.
So when it comes to our team and then our technical team, we have our assistant coach who played in the 2010 World Cup. We have our analyst who played in the Premier League. We have our conditioning coach who has been in Africa as a conditioning coach for Coach Peter Musimane. He has been with Al Ahly in the Champions League finals. He has been in Saudi Arabia. So with me also, I've been with Safa for the past 10 years.
Right, so kick-off for tonight's game is at 7 p.m. Central African time. Nigeria's Super Falcons goalkeeper Chamaka Nandosi has revealed her excitement at being nominated for the 2025 Ballon d'Or Yashin Trophy, placing her among the best goalkeepers in women's football. The 24-year-old was quite instrumental as the Falcons were unbeaten and powered to a 10th Women's Africa Cup of Nations title in Morocco just last month. Nandosi says this nomination means a lot to her.
It shows that all the hard work, all the consistency, all the prayers, it's been working, and because I'm so happy about it, I'm so happy about it. For me, it's like a morale booster. Keep going, Chamaka. Whatever you're doing, the world is watching, never stop. Yeah, it was like a morale booster for me. Yeah, of course, it shows that we have a lot of good goalkeepers in Africa. And I want to use this opportunity to encourage every one of us, all the goalkeepers from Africa, to keep working hard.
On to this now, world number 3, Iga Swiatek powered to a straight set win over Elina Rybakina to reach the final of the Cincinnati Open, where she'll face off with Italy's Yasmin Paolini. Their meeting will be a repeat of last year's French Open final won by Poland's Swiatek in dominant fashion. Now, Swiatek, the reigning Wimbledon champion, swept past Kazakhstan's Rybakina 7-5 and 6-3 on Sunday to reach her first ever Cincinnati Showpiece final. Rybakina, who beat the world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka in the quarterfinals, started brightly but failed to exploit an early break in the first set before Swiatek took firm control of that match. Now, Italy's Paolini battled past Russia's Veronika Kudermetova in the semi-final 6-3 and 6-3 and 6-7 to make it into, of course, the final of this year's competition. Meanwhile, the world number 1 Yannick Sinner and a hot rival Carlos Alcaraz will face off in a major final for a 4th time this season. This after they both booked straight sets wins in the title match at the ATP WTA Cincinnati Open. The defending champion Sinner ruthlessly subdued the 136 ranked qualifier Terence Atmane 7-6 and 6-2, while the Spanish second seed Alcaraz defeated an ailing Alexander Zverev of Germany, who was suffering badly from a 32 Celsius heat and humidity, beating him 6-4 and 6-3. Alcaraz as well as Sinner have played for trophies this season in Rome, Roland Garros and Wimbledon, with the Italian winning their most recent at the All England Club just last month. That concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 011-714-4459. I'm back with more sports news in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosito Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Es-tu préoccupé par quelque chose? Es-tu passionné par les questions qui comptent? As-tu une voix qui mérite d'être entendue? Eh bien, nous avons la plateforme parfaite pour toi. Téléphone-nous ou fais-nous un WhatsApp au +27 66 408 87 42 et nous te rappellerons. Sois dans la conversation.
Salut Channel Africa, ici Beno le diamant rouge et Bina l'export depuis le Cameroun, le pays des lions. Voilà.
Sois dans la conversation. Il ne s'agit pas seulement de parler, mais c'est ta chance d'exprimer ton point de vue, de partager tes opinions et de t'engager avec une communauté qui valorise ton avis. Suivez-nous sur les réseaux sociaux, visitez notre site www.channelafrica.co.za et préparez-vous à partager vos points de vue sur Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
37 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Let's find out what's happening in the world of business with our business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
With your business news at this hour, I'm Mmatsheko. Good afternoon. Starting with this story, schools ahead in Zimbabwe have vowed to stop, or rather to join teaching. Teachers are in demanding a better salaries, declaring that they will not report for duty when schools open next term early September. Ordinarily, school heads do not participate in any action, often acting as enforcers of government policy. However, last week they vowed to stand in solidarity with their subordinates as they also feel the punch of the economic hardship. John Kasim reports.
For the first time in the history of teaching in Zimbabwe, headmasters who are also managers of the schools have vowed to down tools when schools open next month. The school heads, through their Zimbabwe National Union of School Heads, failed to reach an agreement with their employer, the government, over salaries. Ordinarily, school heads do not participate in any job action, often acting as enforcers of government policies. Last week, they vowed to stand in solidarity with their teachers as they also feel the pinch of the economic hardships. Headmasters, just like teachers, are earning very little, around $300 a month.
The Congress of South African Trade Unions, COSATU, has expressed its support for the private members' bill that aims to end outsourcing of essential government services. The insourcing bill, if passed, will require state entities to employ workers to provide regularly required services such as security, cleaning, maintenance and IT against other functions. This is not possible. State organs will have to seek authorization for an exemption. COSATU parliamentary coordinator Matthew Parks says that the measure will eliminate corruption in tender processes, end worker exploitation and promote accountability in service delivery.
Outsourcing really has become the kind of epicenter of corruption state capture across the state. And unless we deal with it, then we can't continue to be surprised that we see headlines about, which politician, which family member, which businessman have got some overtly inflated tender and then failed to deliver on the services. And again, that speaks to saving money for the state. It also speaks to recapacitating the state to provide basic services. And we all know how badly weakened the state has become over the past few decades. So I think for us it's a positive thing.
And South African lender Absa Group has posted a 17% rise in half-year headline earnings as credit impairments declined and pre-provision profit grew. The lender posted headline earnings of $677 million in the 6 months ended on the 30th of June. The group declared an interim dividend of 7.85 per share. And tensions are rising in South Africa's capital, Pretoria, as a group of frustrated subcontractors involved in the Linwood Road project saga are threatening drastic action. They say they've been left unpaid for months and now they're planning a sit-in at the City of Tshwane offices if their demands aren't met. One of the subcontractors, Frida Chabalala, says that their hard work has gone uncompensated, while the primary contractor was allegedly paid upfront before any work even began back in December of 2024. The group accuses the Tshwane Metro of violating the Municipal Finance Management Act and they are demanding immediate intervention.
We have other subcontractors of which our vehicles have been repossessed, and then one of our guy is been pawning the vehicle to try to have a living, but unfortunately up to today the vehicles are still with the pawn shops, of which we don't know whether we are going to be able to release their cars or not. This thing is very frustrating and it's very hectic, and then some of us, we have children of which day to day they must travel to school, they must use the public transport, the taxis, and they commute with the bus. We can't even afford to load a city tickets for our kids to go to school.
And Google has agreed to pay a $35.8 million fine in Australia after a consumer watchdog found it had hurt competition by paying two largest telecoms to pre-install its search application on Android phones, excluding rival search engines. The fine extends a period for Google, which has faced a lawsuit accusing it of preventing rival application stores in their operating systems. Google's YouTube was also added to an Australian ban on social media platforms admitting users under 16, reserving an earlier decision to exempt a video sharing site. A look at your financial indicators. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,531. In Botswana, it's at 13.24. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling at 335. And in Zambia, it's at 23 kwacha 12. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5.39. Russia is 80 rubles 2. India is 87 rupees 50. China at 7 yuan 18. And in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rands 57 cents. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. A look at your commodities. Gold is trading at $3,349 and platinum at $1,324 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $65.97 a barrel. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +271 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business News, I am Mmatsheko.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Nkhanza zokhudza amuna ndi azimayi kapena kuti gender based violence GBV zikuwononga miyoyo komanso kuphwasula midzi. Zikuchitika m'manyumba, m'masukulu, malo ogwirira ntchito ndipo kwambiri mwakachetechete, koma sizikuyenera kupitirira. Mukazimva yankhulani. Ngati mwakhuzidwa, funani chithandizo, chifukwa kusachita chilichonse sikuthandiza. Mverani kuma wireless onse 14 a SABC kuchokera lachitatu pa 23 mwezi uno wa Julai kuti mumve zokambirana, malangizo, masewero, zionetsero za maphunziro ndi mafunso okhuza nkhanza za amuna ndi azimayi ndi akatswiri, anthu opulumuka ku nkhanzazi, kukhazikitsa lamulo komanso dziko lonse lokhuzidwa ndi nkhanzazi. Zonsezi pa wireless yomwe mumayikonda ya SABC. Imbirani pa nambala 0800 428 428 kuti munene za nkhanzazi kapena kupeza chithandizo. Nkhanza zokhuza amuna ndi azimayi zimatha ndi inu. Uthenga ukufikani kuchokera ku SABC.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
You give me life, getting solar. Can't feel your love taking over. On a good day, I be loner. See what you make me discover. Girl, you don't change my persona. The revelation is in order. All the pressure I've been under. Why I call you Ngozi? God don't bless me Ngozi. No deserve this kind loving. The loving way you show me. Private lounging on Paris with expensive room service. No one make me do like this. Girl, I got you, no worries, no worries. He did do me wow wow. Scatter my intana. Craving on sala. No killing me kitana. Check a love is wow. A protection in the lala. Every no disala. No killing me kitana. He did do me wow wow wow. Scatter my intana. Craving on sala. No killing me kitana. Check a love is wow wow. A protection in the lala. Every no disala. No killing me kitana.
Panamera, hola, hola. I'm levitating, I feel like see when you whisper na kupenda. The thing you put for this your dollar. From my heart and my soul on love. And I wanna go crazy with you. Through the night till the sun come on. Let's do it all for love. There's nothing for any kokoro. I never wanna lose this. To you I belong. This must be love.
He did do me wow wow. Scatter my intana, craving on sala, killing me kitana. Check a love is wow, protection in the lala. Every no disala, killing me kitana. He did do me wow wow wow. Scatter my intana, craving on sala, killing me kitana. Check a love is wow, protection in the lala. Every no disala. Everything you do me, I like. My best friend, the love of my life. I know if day without. I bet you won't make it back. You sound my more than two. Girl, you know fear I did for you. I go on the matter for me and you. Make I be the reason you believe in true love. Why I call you Ngozi? God don't bless me Ngozi. No deserve this kind loving. The loving way you show me. Private lounging on Paris with expensive room service. No one make me do like this. Girl, I got you, no worries, no worries. He did do me wow wow. Scatter my intana. Craving on sala. No killing me kitana. Check a love is wow. A protection in the lala. Every no disala. No killing me kitana.
No matter where you are, Channel Africa is always with you.
Still be on the beat.
Five-star music. E-money. Casey, your good boyfriend. Come on. Hey.
Can I just want to see your face? Your face. I wanna see your face. Your face. I wanna see your fine face. Your face. Cause in my let's go. Can I just want to see your face? Your face. I wanna see your face. Your face. I wanna see your fine face. Your face. Cause in my sugar, oh sugar, your love sweet me past sugar. I just wanna let you know, say you are so beautiful, oh baby, my honey, my sweet sweet honey. Hey, like I see water for my body, good for my body. Like I see water for my body, good for my body. Oh, can I just want to see your face? Your face. I wanna
okay. My name is Casey. All my friends them love you. My family them like you.
10 to your left, 10 to your right. Look at that special somebody sitting next to you and tell them, hey, you got a fine face, nah? You got a fine face. KC there. And then before that, we had Ngozi by Crayon featuring Ira Star. It is now 8 minutes actually, before 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's take a quick breather. When we get back, as always, I've got some random facts to share.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et votre 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
The Upside. On the Upside, your voice matters.
Welcome to The Upside. If you've just joined us on Channel Africa, the African Perspective with Tebogo, Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. With you all the way to 4 p.m. Central African time. Happy Monday. Happy new work week. We hope you're having a productive one so far. Let us know where you're streaming us from on our WhatsApp line, +2763 406 9126. Or alternatively, check us out on our social media platforms where we are streaming live at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. DSTV, it's channel 802, OpenView channel 628. And as always, you can go to www.channelafrica.co.za to stream in. I saw something interesting this past weekend, Mmatsheko, because, you know, it's in South Africa we've been having a conflict recently between taxis and e-hailing services. Right? There's been incidences, I'm sure you can obviously read up on it, about some of these incidences that have happened where lives have been lost because of this feud between taxis and e-hailing services. Some drivers of the South African Taxi Association, or Santako, some of the members there were saying that, and I found this very alarming, they were saying that South Africans, and by the way, I'm not saying all of them, they said some members of this association were saying that South Africans are not allowed to have more than one passenger in their cars. It doesn't matter if it's your kids, family, friends, or colleagues. If they do catch you with one more person in your car, they could actually damage it. And they're saying that those people that you're carrying, they need to be in a taxi. They can't. So even you, Mmatsheko, if they find you driving around with your kids, they'll be like, they must come into the taxi. When did we get to this level where even at our own private capacity, so it's no longer now a conflict between e-hailing services and taxi drivers. It's now it's now taxi drivers going up against every South African who's driving on the road, saying if you have more than one person in that car, then you must be an e-hailing service of sorts, and therefore we can't allow you to continue operating that vehicle. To make sure they get into a taxi. What is this? Is this the democracy that we are supposed to be living? Is this the freedom?
What freedom? What democracy? Okay, two things for me. I saw a tweet last night around this issue of taxis and kind of bullying people. So the first thing for me was to ascertain if this is not fake news, right? Because we live in that era where we've literally got to verify every little thing, because we know where journalism has gone, right? It's gone to places where not even the dogs want it. So we've got to do our own verifications these 100%. Days, especially with things that we are seeing on social media. And then as I was doing my own kind of investigation, I bumped into a statement by Santako. I was actually trying to Google that statement. And that statement was talking, so basically denying the claims. This is a statement by Santako,
Yes.
which is the formal taxi union body.
Yes.
If you don't know who Santako is, and they basically dismissed these social media claims that are basically talking about how to carry around passengers in your vehicle. And people were lambasting the statement. This is nonsense. I mean, we've seen these incidences. We're being bullied, etc. So firstly, we've got to guard against fake news. I don't know what the facts are, even though I have seen a good amount of articles. And secondly, we cannot let the taxi industry, if this is true, we cannot continue to let the taxi industry be a law unto themselves, guys. Like, it's been too long. You know, they are just running rampant, stopping wherever they please, rushing through red robots and just doing as they please. We can't. Enough ngoku.
Where does, in the close to Maponya Mall, where the incident where there was a e-hailing service operator who was burnt alive in his car. In that area, the residents, for the next day or two, they stood up against the taxis and said, no, some taxis were actually burnt. And the roads were blocked and said, you are not operating business as normal, because we should be allowed to have a choice to choose an e-hailing service, because a taxi will not come and pick me up at my homestead and drop me off exactly where I need to go. That service is provided by the e-hailing service. And so the people stood up and said, no more. And that's where we can do something about it. When we as a community, as a people, say enough is enough, when we stand up against them. Because if they just continue as business as usual, nothing will change. They'll continue setting their demands whenever they want to, and we'll just have to, because they carry so many people on a daily basis. So many people are reliant on taxis every single day. So we cannot live without them, but we cannot also allow them to bully us, to not allow us to make our own decisions as a mode of transportation, personal preferences. We should be allowed to choose that. It's not like it is drowning the business of taxi. They're not drowning the business of taxi.
They just want to be bullies.
They just want,
as
it appears now.
Yeah, and as somebody who has taken taxis in South Africa, in the city of Johannesburg, for many years. I know what it's like. I know what the taxi violence is like. I know all the inconvenience of when they decide, in the next hour that they're going to go on strike, what an inconvenience that is, and when they just decide to block the roads, and they literally just do as they please. And that cannot be accepted at a legal level. Unacceptable. And it's been happening for decades.
It has
thankfully, and I'm really grateful that I don't have to use that transportation, but I am concerned for people that have to take taxis and commute in those situations every single day.
I know. Taxi bosses, please come together, have a meeting amongst yourselves.
Just stop it.
And let's just have peace. Allow the e-hailing services to do their things. Allow people to have a choice and say, I prefer to use an e-hailing service, because also that e-hailing service is only transporting 1 or 2 people at a time. Your taxi is transporting 15, 20 people at a time. So let's just find common, and let's just find peace. Let both industries thrive. Anyway, that's my 2 cents there. It's 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest news now with Onel Nsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Looking at your top stories, dispute over the burial of the former Zambian President Edgar Lungu postponed indefinitely, and deadly Russian attacks on Ukraine have continued. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. The dispute over the burial of the former Zambian President Edgar Lungu has been postponed indefinitely in the Pretoria High Court in South Africa. This after the Lungu family filed a leave to appeal the bid in the Constitutional Court. The Lungu family and the Zambian government have not been able to resolve the matter over the week. And Zambia's ruling party, the United Party for National Development's media director, Mark Simoe, explains.
There are two approaches to this matter. The first one is the legal route, which is active in court, and we know that there is nothing that stays in court forever. It will be concluded. And secondly, it is the well-known fact that even if this particular matter is brought to an end in the courts of law, the repatriation should never take place to the exclusion of the former family. It is the wish of President Hakainde Hichilema and the government, as they have indicated, that even after this particular legal battle has come to a conclusion, there should be a platform for engagement to persuade the former first family to agree with government to go and bury former President Edgar Lungu.
The corruption case of South Africa's former National Assembly Speaker Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula has been postponed to the 21st of November. The High Court in Pretoria granted the postponement after her defense team requested more time to study the docket, which was only handed to them last week. Mapisa-Nqakula faces 12 counts of corruption and one of money laundering linked to her tenure as defense minister between 2016 and 2019. She is accused of receiving about $250,000 in bribes from defense contractor Nombasa Ntsondwa Ndlovu in exchange to facilitate tenders with the South African National Defence Force. Lawyers say they need additional time to issue subpoenas for bank statements and to consult with their client before possibly making representation to the National Director of Public Prosecutions. Mapisa-Nqakula's counsel advocate, Gronier Kriel.
We have received the disclosure. We need to peruse the dockets, take instructions, and then there are further subpoenas that we need to issue for information back statements. That will take approximately 6 weeks to finalise. We would therefore request that the matter be postponed under your discretion until the 21st of November 2025 to finalise the pre-trial issues.
The Government of National Unity in South Africa needs a reset to ensure its effective political management. Rise Mzansi leader Songezo Zibi gave a status report of the party's first year in the executive and parliament to the media in Rosebank, Johannesburg. Zibi has lamented that while party leaders interact within cabinet, there is little engagement on the political party level within the GNU, hence difficulties experienced with passing the national budget and the Basic Education Laws Act as examples.
I am hoping that the meeting that we all undertook to have as GNU leaders is going to take place so that we can get on with devising a more cohesive political and legislative program where it's not just in the executive, it's how the caucuses work together in parliament within reason, because the parties have not merged. They still have their respective identities. But we need regular and scheduled meetings of the leaders of the GNU, all the parties represented in. There needs to be a hotline to iron out interpersonal issues, as well as a full functioning of the clearinghouse mechanism, which last met in March. It's now going to be September.
More than 40 people are still missing following a boat accident in Nigeria after a boat conveying 50 persons to a popular market in northwest Sokoto State capsized yesterday. The head of the National Emergency Management Agency says the passengers were traveling to Goronyo Market, a popular food produce market in the state, when the boat capsized. The agency says it has collaborated with local authorities and emergency responders in a search and rescue operation to locate the missing persons. Lastly, deadly Russian attacks on Ukraine have continued. At least 5 people were killed when an apartment building was hit by drones in the northeastern city of Kharkiv. Officials say 1.5-year-old girl and a teenage boy are amongst the dead. At least 20 people have been injured. Speaking at the scene of the drone attack is Amil Almarav.
Today at about 5 a.m, the city was woken up by Russian attacks. An industrial part of the city of Kharkiv was attacked, as well as residential apartment building that was hit multiple times. Emergency services continue working, digging the rubble. Unfortunately, the casualty figures are likely to change. I believe there will be more victims.
Recapping on your top stories, the dispute over the burial of the former Zambian President Edgar Lungu has been postponed indefinitely in the Pretoria High Court in South Africa. This after the Lungu family filed their leave to appeal the bid in the Constitutional Court. Channel Africa News, I am Onele Nzinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
banger. No, this is a banger. I don't think you've heard it properly. You must have headsets on and listen to this one. Come on now. Listen to that.
It is actually. It's a dance floor filler.
I love it. Welcome,
yes.
Welcome to The Upside on Channel Africa, the African perspective on Channel Africa, the African perspective with Tebogo, Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko, Mosito. Happy Monday. It is our Monday edition of the show. We hope you're having a fantastic day so far. You're being productive. Where are you right now? What are you doing? Are you driving home? Are you wrapping up the day? Let us know on our WhatsApp line +2763 406 9126, or stream us on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. If you have DSTV, it's channel 802, OpenView channel 628. You can stream us anywhere around the world on www.channelafrica.co.za. All right, we're going to talk about a very important topic in this hour, which is property and investment.
Property
and investment. All right. So
yes.
the difference between buying a property to live in and buying a property as a rental investment. You have, as a property mafia, not mafia.
Well, why you gotta put my stuff out like that?
As a property, what shall we call you?
No, I mean, we can make examples about other people. I don't put myself out like that.
Oh, really? Okay. But as someone who knows
yes,
a thing or two about buying property to live in versus buying property as a rental investment, would you recommend it for people who are still starting out in the property space as a form of investment to buy a property and rent it out as opposed to buying it and living in it yourself?
You can never go wrong with doing that. From what I've heard, it's a good idea to. You could just never go wrong with property. You know, just get something. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. Just obviously check out the surrounds. What kind, and also investing in property just depends on what your goal is. Sometimes you buy it to rent it out to the next person, and that's good enough. Perhaps that's a good place to start. Other times you get it because you want to convert it into a restaurant or into a guest house, or to turn it into an office park. There are so many options to look at when you want to invest. And also, I think in this economy, we've got to look at what does it actually take to own a primary residence in this day and age. How much is it actually going to cost me?
Those hidden costs.
The hidden costs. Forget about the bond and the rates and taxes. I mean, those are standard. You know what you're going to be paying there. Okay, you know you're going to be paying R1 million there. But what about the other 500,000 that you got to pay? I don't know. For extra security, for to maintain the property and its fabulous looks and whatever else. Have you made provision for that in your budget? What is it going to take? So it's a tricky one. Owning a primary residence, and also where is it? A freestanding house? Is it in a complex? Is it in an estate?
So many things to consider.
So many things to consider. But I think when it comes to how we're going to unpack this conversation with Gavin Mkabela, who's a financial advisor in the space of property, he's a strategist as well. He will be able to best advise you depending on whatever level you're on, whether it's intermediate or you're just starting out. He's our guy for this afternoon.
It's 11 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. That conversation is coming up next.
Africa, voici Abedi.
Oui, c'est moi.
Abedi est un passionné de musique dans l'âme. Il a un goût pour toutes sortes de musique et passe ses journées à écouter Channel Africa.
J'aime beaucoup la musique africaine.
Ok. Devinez quoi? Channel Africa veut aider Abedi et les mélomanes du monde entier à découvrir encore plus de musique incroyable. C'est pourquoi Channel Africa appelle les artistes africains à soumettre leur musique. Chers artistes, n'oubliez pas de nous fournir toutes vos informations pertinentes à l'email adresse musique@channelafrica.co.za. Les soumissions sont votre chance d'être entendues, mais elles ne garantissent pas une playlist. Toutes les soumissions seront soigneusement examinées pour voir si elles répondent aux aux exigences de notre station. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Midday vibes, great programming, and good company. This is Channel Africa.
Negative guitar, negative guitar, je pla, kuhle mokikena nanga thula. Negative guitar, negative guitar, je pla, kuhle mokikena nanga thula. Negative guitar, tsa moshashwa di kampaka ke tshwere di fela ke gele ke bese di staka ke gongwe ke tsa suba itse ke tlele mokaka ke phatswe ke ngaka tse thata melo tletse di tla hlasela Jericho ha iso ha ona jab ya na haila jena ka retla di amara ska ba matseleng ya monna ganwang ke le phako ke rupetse ke monna thata tento tsa sefako ke thata ke ba hlatsisa tsa ke metsi di gele ke sa monna phamisa raka ke rutse hantle o di matlogo sana ka la gaga eno tabo floga o jaaka sa lo sheba taba tsaka ke thata ke metse le sotho le freestata ke plaga ha ke tla ha bana ba ipata ke bothata ke nkane ba ba ho e fata flush ya me ntwanela pele phatsa ha ke hata ke thata negative guitar ke plaga kuhle mokikena nanga thula. Negative guitar, negative guitar, je pla, kuhle mokikena nanga thula. Negative guitar, ke ba gana ka tshofo bana ba kene fatsi ke ba jefa vosho ke binela tsa mafete makauta itshapotang ke binela maselesele ha bo monang ga kotang le gale ke hlolwa setswingya molapo ke tla dula ke gantsa diphaka tsa ka tse magapo ke monna toropo mo sebisetswang ka lerato ke metse tsa go tšhabela tsa mamosa le molapo ke thata ha ke ntwa o hlolwa le gale a anda iputswa le hetleng ke tse thotho e tlang molamo e so maseka se ke tse bana ba gangwe ke sita tshwana gapa bosibu thunya disangwe ke go ikate ke pholetse tla pele ke a dihula ke monna wa o isa molamo ntweng go la dithulo ke tshwere meke tsa ka competition a ke bone mochesu ya makarabo fitogo wa bo motšhone ke thata
a di fela le manoti na ke dutse ha ke le teng sefefo ha se gutse tsa eso di kena fela ha di botse se gonong tse tlhabana ha di gotse.
Negative guitar, negative guitar, je pla, kuhle mokikena nanga thula. Negative guitar, negative guitar, je pla, kuhle mokikena nanga thula.
It's 2:15 in Central African time. Welcome to the Upside, coming through with Lesotho's finest. Rapping in Sesotho is clearly the hill. This sounds amazing. One of Ndate Stana's greatest hits, Gitada. Nakitsipi Gitada. I am made of steel, basically, is what he's saying. So, listen, you cannot come at me unprepared.
I love that.
Is what he's saying in the song. Beautiful stuff.
I love that. I tell you what is made to last long. Property. Land made to it's an investment that's worthy of getting involved in from a very young age. You don't have to wait until you're 100 or 101 to start investing in property. When you're young, you can get into property, because buying property is often seen as a pathway to wealth, but investing in rental property is very different from buying a home to live in. From hidden costs to tough choices between long-term tenants and short-term rentals, property investment comes with both risks and rewards. To help us unpack the smartest ways to step into the market is Gavin Mkabela, financial advisor and property investment strategist. Gavin, thank you so much for your time and welcome to The Upside.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor.
It's an honor having you, Gavin. Let's start off with some of the basics, Gavin. What is the key differences between buying a home to live in and buying an investment property?
Yeah. So I normally say that when you buy a primary home, I call it an emotional buy, right? So because remember, this is a property that you're buying to live in.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of the times it's based on emotions. You like the neighborhood, you like the tiles, you like, the people around the area. Whereas when you talk about investment property, this is another name for it. We call it buy to let. So you're actually buying that property to rent it out. So it becomes a business. So I normally say that that process should be economical, because it's all about, is there rental appetite in the area? What kind of investment property am I buying? Is it multi-let? Is it a new development? Is it a Airbnb?
Yeah.
So then there's a strategy then that comes after that.
I'm interested to find out, Gavin, around, first time buyers, and then doing your research around, especially if you want to get into the space of property for purposes of investment, what should buyers be looking out for? How do I conduct my research? I mean, you mentioned the different sort of ventures I could get into. I could Airbnb it or just let it out to one person, etc. So what is the first point of research if I want to get started as a beginner?
I would actually say that the first part of it will actually maybe get somebody that can guide you through it, because there's a lot of school fees that you pay if you don't have somebody to hold your hand. But again, we understand that it's not always the case.
Yeah.
So I would then start to look at it. There's two parts to property investments that I normally talk about. There is the cash flow side of things, and then there's a capital appreciation side of things. So I always like to use the jargons, because unfortunately the scammers are not going to scam you with just simple words. So they're going to scam you with these jargons, So when
yes.
Yeah. So when you look at cash flow, normally you want properties that will turn positive quickly. So meaning that you'll make a profit as quickly as possible. And normally those will be, looking at multi-let. So multi-let is where let me take you to Kokasi. Kokasi, you'll have a house, you have back rooms.
Yeah.
So normally when you do numbers on those properties, you'll find that, even if you have a bond, it will cover the bond, the rental income you get will cover the bond, will cover the expenses, and will change from that point on. Whereas now when we look at capital appreciation, so this is more where we look at equity. So we want properties that will grow in value, so that we can either sell those properties at the profit or we refinance them, right? So there's an equity aspect of things. Now, you need to ask yourself, am I buying this property because it's going to give me cash flow or it's going to give me capital appreciation? However, there is way now when you look at a long-term strategy, meaning that you want to have multiple properties. I normally say that combine the two. So have a portfolio that have both of these two things. Because think about it, in a business, the business needs to run every single month. So you need to cover your overheads. So there's a cash flow element to it. But if I want to grow my business, I need capital to buy machinery. So it's the same thing with property, because if I want to build multiple rooms or whatever the case might be, I'm going to need capital. So I can then refinance those properties that will give me the equity that I need.
We're currently...
yeah.
Sorry, Gavin, you can carry on. Sorry.
No, so I was just saying that cash flow or capital appreciation, that's the first part that you should be able to then understand before you get through that.
All right, we'll continue unpacking this conversation between buying a home to live in or buying an investment property with Gavin Mkhabela. Don't go anywhere. It's 21 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
C'est notre invitée du jour, la belle Aïna Mwenze. Elle est là, certaines l'appellent Boss Lady.
Bonjour Monsieur Jolino.
Parlez-nous un tout petit peu de vous.
Je m'appelle Boss Lady Aïna. Je mets l'accent sur le nom de Boss Lady parce que je mérite cela après le travail fait. Et c'est une rémunération en titre de la personne que je suis devenue aujourd'hui. Épouse et une mère de 4 garçons. Et voilà ce que je peux dire pour l'instant.
Et vous vous êtes lancé dans le business, comment c'est venu?
En tant que mère et se retrouvant dans les pays étrangers, particulièrement en Afrique du Sud, je me disais que laisser les enfants sur la charge des travailleurs ou d'une bonne, ça serait pas très intéressant. Je me suis dit, bon, je dois essayer de m'organiser et trouver un emploi que je peux faire.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
Your afternoons just got even better, fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective.
22 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time, we are talking about the difference between buying a home to live in and buying an investment property. And to help us unpack it, we are joined by Gavin Mkabela, financial advisor and property investment strategist. Gavin, let's talk about the realities for young professionals wanting to get into the property investment side of things. Often the case is we want to rush to buy our first home to live in, but maybe that's not the best strategy. Some want to invest in property rather than buy it as a first-time home. Let's talk about accessibility to young professionals to this particular market.
So look, I think the beauty about it is that you have banks, you have financial institutions that are willing to give you finance, and I think because property has for the longest of time we grew up, we didn't see that as something that is great that we can get into. So we normally would buy cars, whereas now, whenever I mentor young people, I talk to them, I say, look, think about it. If maybe you can buy a property and this property cash flows, and instead of you taking money from your own pocket and paying for the car in every single month, this property can pay the car for you. And the beauty about the property is that normally, and I'm going to use normally because we sort of assume that property appreciates in value, which is not the case. I know that when we are out there talking about these things, we're like, no, it's not always the case. Just like a car is not always the case that it depreciates in value. There are cars that actually appreciate in value, So, but there is now that element of looking at things differently to say that I want to create an asset base. And what I normally also say is that, when you're still young, you're starting a professional, a lot of the times you don't have the responsibilities that a lot of us have. You don't have a kid. You don't even have to move out of home, prematurely. So you can still stay at home, and you don't have to pay a lot of things. So that you use now the leveraging that you have. Because remember, as a young professional, the payslip is your power, is your leveraging power. So you can use that to go and access bonds, and that's where we talk about pre-approvals. Before you even start, get a pre-approval. We do that. We can check for you to say, okay, no, you qualify for R1 million, but don't go and buy R1 million property. Go and buy maybe a 600,000 property that now you can rent out. So that obviously from that point on, you have an asset base, because I think that's what's very, very important. Create an asset base, then that asset base then pays for your liabilities.
Okay. It's a very interesting territory to get into, property investment, particularly for young person, as we unpack with Gavin this afternoon. Gavin, let's talk about a point that you made earlier. I don't think a lot of, African people really understand that there's an option to actually refinance a property. Please unpack that, because I think that's very important in terms of the playing in the space of investment and how you can actually benefit from refinancing a property.
That is a huge one. I think I talk about refinancing. It's one of the words that I use a lot. And I think the situation is that I even say there's a lot of people that are millionaires, and they don't know that they're millionaires. And just by the virtue of equity that sits in those properties, but they don't know. So technically what happens is that when you go and purchase a property, right? So let's say now Gavin goes and buys this property at Albertine, I'll just use that. And I bought this property today. I buy it for 500,000. And in the next 3 years, this property is now valued at 1 million rand. So now technically now I have equity in that property, right? So I can go back to the bank and say, bank, initially I bought the property for 500,000, but now my property is now valued at 1 million. So I want to go and borrow against this 500,000, which now talks about the appreciation in value. So then the bank does an assessment and say, Gavin, you do qualify for the extra 500,000. So now remember that initially when I took out the 500,000, the first one, they paid the seller for me so that I can get this property. Whereas now when I go and refinance, I'm going to get this 500,000 cash in my account, right? So then I can go, let's say, buy 2 flats of 250,000 each. Now I have 3 properties now from that one property, and the 2 of them are paid up because now remember I bought them cash. Now then I use the tenants that are now paying that rent to then service what I have now I owe the bank, and you'll find that most of the time I now have a surplus that I can now use. So I can then go and say, okay, I need to thank myself, and then let me go and buy myself a car. So that extra 2,000, 2.5 is now paying for my car. So now I have 3 properties and I have a car, which I technically don't pay with my salary.
And now I've got a car that is appreciating in value as well. Maybe I've bought a generational Audi or something.
Whatever the case might be. Exactly.
Gavin, you make it sound so simple, and I love how you're simplifying the process, because sometimes we end up overcomplicating things that don't need to be overcomplicated. I want to understand from a hidden costs perspective, what are some of the hidden costs that we need to look out for as first-time investors, first-time buyers that we often overlook?
Okay, so the first thing I need to emphasize that it's a business, right? So when you get into this, you must understand it's a business. So funny enough, yesterday I was doing a handover to a first-time investor, and I said it's a business. So you have to understand. So with business, you have to understand there's risks to it. You know, so there's issues around liquidity. So make sure that. For example, if you're gonna make a profit, I know it sounds nice, you'll be making an extra 5,000, but don't chow the 5,000. So it's like you are killing the golden egg, whatever that scenario is. So don't kill that, right? So reinvest it, and then make sure that at the end of the day, you also have some kind of savings in case something breaks. Now, it's even worse when it comes to, let's say, multi-letting, because remember, there is not just one person that is renting in your property. There is maybe 6 or 7 guys that are there. So from time to time, one, I don't know, did something with the toilet, it's blocking and all that. That needs to be fixed. So you can't now wait for mandate, right? So there needs to be some liquid stashniana money that's there to cover all of those things, So you understand that because people use your property and it's not you, right? So they might not treat it the way that you treat it. So that there's a cost element to it. So always do that. The other thing is that obviously, depending on what type of property you want to buy, for example, if you want to buy a sectional title, and this is so sad because I see it time and again when, agents, and because I'm an agent, I run an agency, and we at times don't tell people that, look, when you buy a sectional title, don't just make provision for the rates and taxes, but make provision for levies as well. So levies are a big thing when it comes to sectional title, because time and again there's special levy. So you budgeted 900. Now the special levy is kicking you to about 2,000, and you find that at the end of the day you now have a shortfall, because sectional titles most of the times you'll find that there's shortfall. So meaning that the rental income that you get versus the expenses that don't cover everything else. So meaning that you have to supplement from your own pocket. Now the question is, if you lose then the job, what will happen? Because now you need to fund this there's this beast. So those are the things that I normally say, that at least when you have somebody to hold your hand, they can take you through their numbers, and realistically so that when you get in, you know what you are getting yourself into.
Gavin, I would love for you to hang on, or hang 10 on the line for us, so we can continue the conversation, wrap it up nicely with our listeners at home who might have an extra frequently asked question that they want to throw in your direction. So if you don't mind holding the line for us so we can conclude the conversation, the voice of Gavin Mkhabela, financial advisor and property investment strategist. We'll continue the conversation with him after we get the sports with Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Tebogo, thank you. We'll start here. The South African Football Association says the state is deliberately delaying progress in the fraud, corruption as well as conspiracy to commit fraud case against its president, Dr. Danny Jordan, as well as the CFO, Ronnie Hluyo, as well as the other two co-accused, and that includes Trevor Neethling, as well as Grit Communications. Now, the matter was again postponed last Friday at the Commercial Crimes Court in Palm Ridge to the 12th of September. Pending a decision by the new acting DPP in Gauteng on the representations made by the defense attorneys to have struck it off the roll. Now, though their lawyer, or rather through their lawyer, Lesedi Mphahlele, the association says whatever the decision by the new NPA boss is, there'll still be delays because their challenge at the High Court has not been heard as yet.
And as we are today, we are in the middle of August. The state or the DPP still have not responded to the representations or the consideration of the representations which were made early in 2025. 8 months later, we're still sitting with postponements. So it is very clear. It is very clear that the state will continue delaying this matter. I don't see how the trial will be set down anytime during this year of 2025.
South Africa will come into today's Crunch African Nations Championship CHAN final group stage game against the host nation Uganda, knowing that nothing less than a win will guarantee them passage to the next stage of this year's competition. Coach Mofenseki's team are currently third in Group C behind Uganda as well as Algeria. Tonight at the Nelson Mandela National Stadium, they will be up against 37,000 Ugandan supporters as they attempt to reach the knockout stages for the very first time in 14 years. Coach Nseki acknowledges that there is no place to hide for any of the teams in Group C.
Important match for every team in Group C, because we are fully aware that whoever has to play well tomorrow and win the game between us and Uganda will go through. The winner between Algeria and Niger. Also, Algeria is playing that game to win, so that they can also give themselves a chance to go to the next phase of the tournament, which will be the quarterfinals.
Now, since losing their opening game by 3-0 to Algeria, Uganda have been on a high in this year's tournament, scoring about 5 goals in their last 2 matches. And Zeki says they know what is at stake in this encounter, and also banking on the experience of the technical team to prepare the team for a demanding assignment.
So when it comes to our team and then our technical team, we have our assistant coach who played in the 2010 World Cup. We have our analyst who played in the Premier League. We have our conditioning coach who has been in Africa as a conditioning coach for Coach Peter Musimani. He has been with Al Ahly in the Champions League finals. He has been in Saudi Arabia. So with me also, I've been with Safa for the past 10 years.
Further field now, Brazil forward Neymar left the field in tears after Santos suffered a 6-0 home defeat by Vasco da Gama last night. The loss was the biggest of Neymar's career, and it was also the very first time that Santos have conceded 6 goals at home in a Brazilian Serie A match. The 8-time champions are 2 points above the relegation zone, and the coach of the side, Salbe Xavier, was sacked hours after Sunday's game. Now, former Liverpool as well as Aston Villa forward forward Felipe Coutinho scored twice, this as Vasco claimed their first ever win in 6 league games and their biggest league win in 17 years. Neymar returned to his boyhood club in January after the termination of his contract with Saudi Pro League side Al Hilal. The 33-year-old signed another 6-month deal in June, and since rejoining Santos has claimed 6 goals as well as 3 assists from 21 games in all competitions. And finally, Formula One leader Oscar Piastri will rather have a grandstand named after him at the season-opening Australian Grand Prix next year, by which time the McLaren driver could be returning home as a world champion. So the Melbourne-born 24-year-old, who has yet to stand on the Albert Park podium in 3 attempts, leads British teammate Lando Norris by about 9 points after 14 of the season's 24 rounds. Piastri has also won more races in a single season than any other Australian driver since the World Championship started back in 1950, with 6 so far this year, along with 3 second-place positions. Well, that concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, our email address is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or give us a call. The newsroom line is +27 11714 4459. I'm back with the final sports update on the upside in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosito Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. 9 to 12 midday Central African Time. On the move with Palisa Tau and Benjamin Mushata.
Should influencers be expected to be impactful in society? If there is a social or societal conversation that goes up, should we be waiting eagerly to hear what the influencers have to say?
They are more than just entertainers. They are thought leaders to some certain degree. They influence culture. They influence people's thought processes. They set trends. They shape opinions of people. And the sad reality is, although a lot of them don't want to accept it, I think we're getting better with them realizing that they're embarking in that journey, and in that space comes with a certain level of responsibility.
I see it differently in that, professionals are already good at their job, but there is an optionality that they might have to use the position that they hold in society to be able to deliver a message. This year you made the example of actors and actresses. So the same could apply to a sportsman. Just because someone's good at soccer doesn't mean that they have to have an influence over society from a specific standpoint.
Keeping you on the know and on the move.
And now Matapelo Mahape standing by for business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
With your business news at this hour, I'm Matapela Mahape. Good afternoon. Schools heads in Zimbabwe have vowed to join the teachers in demanding better salaries, declaring that they will not report for duty when schools open next term, early September. Ordinarily, school heads do not participate in any job action, often acting as enforcers of government policy. However, last week they vowed to stand in solidarity with their subordinates as they feel the pinch of the economic hardships. John Kasim reports.
For the first time in the history of teaching in Zimbabwe, headmasters who are also managers of the schools have vowed to down tools when schools open next month. The school heads, through their Zimbabwe National Union of School Heads, failed to reach an agreement with their employer, the government, over salaries. Ordinarily, school heads do not participate in any job action, often acting as enforcers of government policies. Last week, they vowed to stand in solidarity with their teachers as they also feel the pinch of the economic hardships. Headmasters, just like teachers, are earning very little, around $300 a month.
Global thermal coal producers are expected to curtail output as low prices for the fossil fuel persist amid an uncertain economic outlook. This is according to South African coal miner Thungela's outgoing CEO, July Ndlovu. South Africa's top thermal coal exporter reported an 80% slump in its profit to $14 million in the 6 months to June 30th, mainly due to lower prices for fossil fuel. Onto this now, South Africa's National Union of Mental Workers, NUMSA, says it's reached an improved severance deal with the tyre manufacturer Goodyear following the closure of its Grega plant in the Eastern Cape province. In June, the company initiated a Section 189A process to restructure its manufacturing operations in Grega, which has resulted in over 900 job losses. For several weeks, NUMSA and Goodyear have been negotiating better severance packages for workers affected. NUMSA's General Secretary Ivan Jim says the settlement agreement was concluded on Friday.
NUMSA succeeded in attaining a substantial improvement on the grossly unfair minimum package which Goodyear wished to impose on these workers despite their years of loyal service. The more pertinent improvement attained were increasing severance package pay from 2 weeks remuneration completed year of service to 4 weeks remuneration for each completed year of service. In addition, Goodyear also paying each worker a lump sum of 100,000.
Tensions are rising in South Africa's capital, Pretoria, as a group of frustrated subcontractors involved in the Linwood Road project saga are threatening a drastic action. They say they've been left unpaid for months and now they are planning a sit-in at the City of Tshwane offices if their demands aren't met. One of the subcontractors, Frida Chabalala, says their hard work has gone uncompensated while the primary contractor was allegedly paid upfront before any work the subcontractor or the primary contractor was allegedly paid upfront before any work even began back in December of 2024. The group accuses the Tshwane Metro of violating the Municipal Finance Management Act and they are demanding immediate intervention.
We have other subcontractors of which our vehicles have been repossessed, and then one of our guy is been pawning the vehicle to try to have a living, but unfortunately up to today the vehicles are still with the pawn shops, of which we don't know whether we are going to be able to release their cars or not. This thing is very frustrating and it's very hectic. And then some of us, we have children of which day to day they must travel to school, they must use the public transport, the taxis, and they commute with the bus. We can't even afford to load a city tickets for our kids to go to school.
And Russian crude oil flows to Hungary and Slovakia via the Druzhba pipeline were halted today, with Budapest blaming a Ukrainian attack on transformer station. Unlike most other EU countries, Hungary has kept up its resilience on Russia's energy since Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. The Hungarian oil company MOL confirmed that the technical restoration is underway, after which crude oil deliveries will resume. A look at your financial indicators. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 531. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 24. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 35. And in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 12. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 39. Russia is at 80 rubles 2. India, it's 87 rupees 50. While in China, it's 7 yuan 18 cents. And in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rands 57 cents. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 85 cents to the euro. A look at your commodities. Gold is trading at $3,347 and platinum at $1,330 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $66.15 a barrel. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business News, I am Mmatsheko.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Broadcasting in 5 different languages, connecting the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Mosito and Tebogo Lekhuleni on the upside.
Well, it's 45 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's wrap up our conversation with Gavin Mkabela, financial advisor and property investment strategist. We were discussing the differences between buying a property or buying a home to live in versus buying an investment property, and we want to delve in some rather frequently asked questions that you may have at home. And one of them, Gavin, is when I get into the property investment side of things, deciding and choosing between long-term rentals versus short-term Airbnb style. For a first-time investor, which one should I opt for, or is it based on what you want to achieve from this investment?
No, definitely. It really depends on what you want to achieve. And by the way, short-term rentals can still be a long-term strategy, right? So if you look at, for example, Airbnb, it's just that Airbnb, from a contract point of view, it's a day-to-day. So somebody comes in, they go out, but it still forms part of a long-term strategy. So that you'll actually park more in a cash flow kind of side of things. Whereas there is somebody that can say, I don't necessarily want to hold on to the property for long. So that then we can include what we call flipping. So meaning that I'm going to flip that property. So I buy it below market value. So for example, I bought a property in Vetboiji. It's not looking so great, but the area is fantastic, right? So what I do is that I bought it way cheaper than the market value, and then I pump in a couple of rents, and it looks so nice. I paint it and everything else. Then from that perspective, I then resell this property to somebody else at the higher price, meaning that I've made my profit, and then I pocket that money. So if I want to do that strategy again, I do it all over again. So it's short term. It's not, I'm not holding on to the property and that's it. But now you can fuse the two. So I can flip so that I generate capital, and then I can then use that capital to fix something that I can hold on to so that it gives me passive income. So I think that's very important to understand, that there is passive income and then there's capital that I get. So I also need to look at both of these two things. So if I want to play the long-term game, there's a passive income side of things, which then the capital helps me to build on to the passive income. I hope it makes sense.
It does. No, 100% it does.
You should start a master class online or something and really teach us, because there's so many things that are intimidating. For example, whether you're a young person or not, we know that the current economy, has put people in difficult circumstances. Sometimes you have very limited savings, or you don't have any savings at all, but you want to get an investment property. So can you break down what the pros and cons of having a deposit are? Because, sometimes we want to know these things, we're a little bit afraid to ask, do I need a deposit up front to get my property for R1 million, for example? Or can I just go to the bank with my big, beautiful pay slip that I get from my job every month and say, hey, listen, I need this property. Give me the money. Let's get this going.
Yeah. Do I even need a salary to buy a property?
Come on.
It's a story for another. All right. So look, in terms of a deposit, I think the beauty about it now is that you have banks that can give you, we call it 110% bond or 105% bond, meaning that, so remember, when you're buying property, it's also very key to understand is that, am I buying this property from Gavin, or am I buying this property from a developer? Right. So at times what's happening is that when I buy from a developer, you'll see what normally on the advert, it says all cost inclusive. So meaning that the purchase price will also cover the registration cost. So there's attorneys that obviously do the process of registration. Whereas now in that manner, when it comes to the developers, they will cover that cost. So it's sort of like infused in the price. Whereas if you're buying from Gavin, who's a private seller, then you are going to pay that amount, and then you're also going to pay the transfer cost. So that's another issue that I think people don't pay attention to. So you find that now all of a sudden, when you're excited, you've got a bond, but you don't have costs. So now the attorney sends you an invoice. Now you have a problem, right? So you make provision for that. But also, if you don't have that, ask, for example, we have bond originators that can then ask to say, okay, Mr. So-and-so, do you have cost, for the attorneys? No, I don't have. All right, so let's then apply for a higher bond. The higher bond then obviously caters then for the cost. But I also want to touch this quickly. I know it's going to need another session probably, but there's what we call a back-to-back deal. So there's a number of deals that you can get into property investing. So a back-to-back is basically you find a seller that is selling a property, and then this seller says, okay, I'm selling this property for 400,000, right? And then I make an offer. I say, I'm going to give you 200,000, and we agree, right? Because I know the property is worth 400,000. Then I go and find Tabiso. Tabiso, I'm going to sell you this property for 400,000. So Tabiso is happy to pay 400,000. So I have an offer to purchase on the first one. Then I'm going to sign an offer to purchase with Tabiso. So I have now 2 offer to purchases, right? But now on the registration side of things, like what we did now with the one that I just spoke about, is that it's not going to register in my name. So I'm in the middle. It's going to register in Tabiso's name. However, I'm going to make money out of that property. So I put a markup on the property. So there's a number of strategies.
Hey, it's a lot. It's a lot. Hey, it's a lot. Yeah, but we'll park it there for today because we have run out of time, unfortunately. But thank you so much for your valuable insight. Very quickly, where can people follow you on social media, or perhaps a website or an email where people can reach you?
All right, so our website is www.gavsure.co.za. So Gavsure is GAVSURE.co.za. They can then maybe send an email or at info@gavsure.co.za. They can send me a WhatsApp on 074 412 7614, 074 412 7614. And yeah, I'm on social. So I call it a property corner every Thursday, 8 o'clock on TikTok. So you can go to Gavin Mkabela and you can then find everything you need there regarding property every Thursday, 8 o'clock.
What a valuable conversation. Gavin, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
The voice of Gavin Mkabela, financial advisor and property investment strategist. Go check him out on social media and go listen to him on TikTok as he goes live during the property corner is what he calls it. What a valuable conversation. It is now 7 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African time. Let's take a quick breather. When we get back, it's time for What Caught Your Eye.
zochitika ndi madaphiri kamlondola wa zochitika pena paliponse.
mabhizinesi osiyanasiyana mdziko la south africa ayamba kukhoma msonkho wa 30% akamagulitsa katundu wawo ku dziko la united states of america. ndiye pano tili ndi katswiri wa zachuma mu dziko la malawi dr bertha chikadza. boma la south africa masiku apitawo linanena kuti ngati america akani kutsitsa msonkho bomalo lipeza misika ina. mungatifotokozere kuti ndizotheka south africa kupeza misika yomwe ingabweretse ndalama pafupifupi $15 billion zomwe imapezeka ku msika ya ku america.
tinene kuti izizi zitha kuchitika koma sizingachitike mwa pompopompo chifukwa tikaonetsetsa izi zinthu zokuti inali msika wa dziko la america unali msika wakukhazikika umene dziko la south africa linali litazolowera kale. tsono kuti tingonena kuti dziko la south africa lipezanso msika mwina mwansangasanga kuti lizitumiza katundu wake mwina sizingachitike pachokuti tikunena papa $15 billion ndi ndalama zambiri ndithu.
zochitika ndi madaphiri lolemba mpaka lachisanu pa nthawi ya 7 koloko kufikira 8 koloko madzulo pa Channel Africa.
Whatever you want to hear about today's talk,
You can only get it on the upside.
every weekday,
2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time.
It is 6 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African time, and it's time for What Caught Your Eye. If something has caught your eye from this past weekend or even today, let us know on our WhatsApp line +27 63 9126, or alternatively check us out on our social media platforms at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok or at Channel Africa on Facebook and on YouTube. Something interesting caught my eye, and I'm going to share it very briefly, very quickly. You know, when ministers in various countries are doing good things for the community, for the country, we must shine a light on it, you know, and thumbs up. Well done. Kudos to you. You're doing a brilliant job. Well done to you. In South Africa, the Minister of Correctional Services, Dr. Pieter Groenewald, has opened a new bakery at Westville Prison in Durban, South Africa on the 14th of August 2025. It forms part of the broader initiative, which is called the Self-Sufficiency and Sustainability Initiative within the Department of Correctional Services. And it's aimed at reducing reliance on external suppliers while empowering inmates. This project, this bakery, is projected to save taxpayers 3 million rand thanks to the in-house bakery production, compared to previously paying up to 23 rand per loaf externally. They're going to produce over 3,800 loaves daily. That's about 400 loaves per hour. It involves around 50 inmates working different shifts. And the participants, the inmates who will be participating in this initiative, will will receive a certificate upon completion, enhancing their post-release employability in bakery or in baking and small business ventures. It's part of, so the program is self-sufficiency, yes, but they now already have 13 bakeries, which they've already rolled out, with a target of expanding to 20 bakeries by 2028. And I think this is an initiative that's worth applauding and saying, good job.
Talk about a former minister who is ministering. I mean,
doing the job.
Doing the job, 100%. Economic development, tick. Rehabilitation, tick. Social cohesion, tick. Hey, man, he's onto something. I think that is wonderful. And also, I mean, what better way than bread, even metaphorically, just breaking bread with one another, feeding one another.
Brilliant.
I think it's just such a beautiful project. Yeah. And also skills development, tech.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest one. You are giving someone the skill of not only being able to bake bread, but also and put bread on the table. Yeah. But also starting and running a business, because these people can then go out and start their own bakeries.
How exciting.
And or start other, food service-based businesses. And you can never go wrong with food because we all got to eat.
Absolutely.
Can branch out. I mean, we're talking about some of these other work in agricultural work and projects.
Yeah, wanting to establish vegetable farms at certain prisons as well. So I love the work that he's doing there. What do you think? Share your sentiments around this. +2 763 9126, or alternatively drop a comment below on our TikTok live. Or not TikTok live, our TikTok account. It's at Channel Africa 1.
Yes.
And I love the fact that the inmates can now look forward to being released. Some of them stress about the release date. What am I going to do when I get out?
What am I going to do?
I'll most likely end up back here. Yeah. But now you're giving them skills. They can be employed. They can go start their own little bakery. They can go be employed in baker. Oh, man. Come on now. This is what we want to see. Ministers working.
So many problems. It's solving so many problems. Okay, very quickly, I want to talk about Femi Kuti, okay? Real quick. The legend completed 24 shows in 1 month. And I don't know why the whole world is not talking about this, okay? This man is 63 years old. I mean, for me, that's wild, okay? His son, Made Kuti, tweeted about it. I saw the tweet last night and I thought it's giving greatest of all time energy. At the age of 63, to be able to complete 24 shows is something to mark. I mean, some artists ghost bookings. We're talking about an artist just now who was a no-show.
The shade.
We don't know what the reasons are, but you ghost a booking left, right, and center is what we're seeing. And here's Femi Kuti at the tender age of 63.
Very tender.
Hey, and he is out working everybody half his age. I mean, for me, respect is due. So we got to find a Femi Kuri classic to play as we enter this grand finale of our show after 3.
That's like 6 shows a weekend.
Can
6
you
a
actually?
weekend. 6, 12, 18, 24. Huh? That's three on Friday, or 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. Anyway, we are out of time. It's 3 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest news now with Onel Nsinsi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Looking at your top stories, South African dialogue, national security concerns rather, discussions are continuing, and Palestinian Prime Minister visiting the Rafah border crossing. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. The South African Parliament's ad hoc committee looking into wide-ranging allegations of threats to national security has discussed the matter of how classified information before the committee will be handled. The committee is still in the process of threshing out its terms of reference. It was established following allegations by the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi of serious corruption in the criminal justice system. The Umkhonto Sizwe party made a submission that protocols should be agreed on regarding how classified and sensitive information will be dealt with. A decision was made that existing protocols for how Parliament handles classified information will be followed. Parliament's legal advisor Andile Tetyana explains.
Documents are placed in a safe set aside for this purpose, equipped with 2 different locks. The Speaker or her nominee and the Secretary of Parliament or his nominee ensure the safekeeping of the safe keys and its contents. In order to gain access to the documents, it will be necessary for both key bearers to unlock the safe, take the documents to a controlled venue, and there, in a formal way, make them available only full members committee.
Co-chairperson of the National Dialogue Eminent Persons Group, Tinyiko Maluleke, in South Africa, says the strong turnout at the National Convention at the weekend reflects the importance citizens place on shaping the future together. Over the weekend, South Africans from across the country gathered in Pretoria. Their convention, hosted at the University of South Africa, drew over 1,000 delegates representing more than 200 organizations. Professor Moleleke emphasized that dialogue is a process that cannot be rushed.
Inclusivity is a non-negotiable for a process such as this. No door must be closed at any time or during this process. Everyone who is not inside must constantly be invited and be persuaded to come inside. Even those who have walked away, I think we cannot give up on them because such is the nature of a process as this. And we, especially those of us in the Eminent Persons Group, will do our best to be constantly reaching out to them.
The World Food Programme says a convoy of lorries carrying aid has arrived in Sudan's War-Torn region. It means food can be distributed to some of the tens of thousands of people fleeing the besieged city of Al-Fashir. The WFP has sent several convoys to the area over the past few months, but says it needs greater access and has appealed for hundreds of millions of dollars. Samantha Chatara is the emergency coordinator for the UN's World Food Programme in Sudan.
We need consistent access to save the situation in areas facing starvation. At the same time, this cannot be possible without the resources on hand. And as such, we are appealing for $645 million for the rest of the year.
More than 40 people are still missing following a boat accident in Nigeria. After a boat conveying 50 persons to a popular market in northwest Sokoto State capsized on Sunday. The head of the National Emergency Management Agency says the passengers were traveling to Goronyo Market, a popular food-produced market in the state, when the boat capsized. The agency said it was collaborated with local authorities and emergency responders in search and rescue operations, assisting in locating the missing persons. The Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa has been visiting the Rafah border crossing alongside Egypt's Foreign Minister Bada Abdelati, who highlights difficulties in getting aid into Gaza. Warehouses on the Egyptian side are packed with supplies for civilians, but the other side is closed by Israeli troops. The BBC's Yolanda now.
Part of what Egypt is trying to achieve here is to kind of hit back at some of the regional criticism that there has been of it as the humanitarian crisis has deepened in Gaza itself. But also, I think, this is Egypt, again, looking to boost the Palestinian Authority. It's really wanted to come up with a sort of detailed roadmap for a post-war Gaza that involves this entity, even though Israel has been rejecting that.
Recapping on your top stories, the South African Parliament's ad hoc committee looking into wide-ranging allegations of threats to national security has discussed the matter of how classified information before the committee will be handled. The committee is still in the process of threshing out its terms of reference. Channel Africa News, I'm Onelin Tsinsi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
If it isn't the most amazing signature tune in the final hour of The Upside, welcome to the show if you've just started listening. Otherwise, if you've been carrying wonderful conversation with us from 1 p.m. in Central African time, we are grateful to have you here. Tebogo and Mmatsheko holding the space for you until 4 p.m. in Central African time. And it's just, we've been moving in conversation. What's happening in this hour?
We'll be talking to a remarkable woman by the name of Hope Mareka. She is called a hope for the hopeless, a woman whose name reflects her very spirit, from acting and radio production to film curation and festival programming. We'll be talking to her about her career as an entrepreneur and as a founder, as a creative as well, and as the founder and CEO of Archive Media. And guess what? She's also deeply involved in the independent Black Filmmakers Collective, the Joburg Film Festival, and she's also produced award-winning radio productions, which is super exciting. It's exciting for us because we get to chat with her. She's going to be joining us in studio, pick her brain a bit, and find out what it takes to get to the top, and then to stay at the top, and what's next for her, for a production house, from a creative perspective. What is next? And those are the conversations that we'll be driving with Hope in this hour.
Always very amazing to speak to talented people. So listen, we want you to come along this ride with us. It is 9 minutes into 3 p.m.
Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter? Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard? Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126, and we will call you back so you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So yeah, that's who I am, you know.
It's not just talk, it's your chance to air your views, share your opinion, engage with the community that values your perspective. Follow us on our social media. Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za and get ready to share your views on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda. on Rise and Shine, weekdays 6 till 9.
Ethiopia's planned Bishoftu International Airport, its scale, its timelines, and its potential to position the country as Africa's aviation leader. What will this mega project mean for Ethiopia's investment climate, job creation, and tourism? And how will it shape regional and global connectivity?
Ethiopian Airlines is by far the largest airline in Africa and amongst the 30 largest in the world. Ethiopian Airlines owns the airports in this country. So, you just need to put that in context. Last week, they announced their results. They had transported 19 million passengers, something like $7.6 billion in revenue, which places them amongst the 3 most profitable airlines in the Middle East Africa region after Emirates and Qatar Airways. In fact, except for Ethiopian Airlines, virtually no state-owned airline in Africa today makes money. Many African governments make it difficult for airlines to operate efficiently and profitably. That includes South Africa, by the way.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine. No matter where you are, Channel Africa is always with you. Mmatsheko Mosito and Tebogo Lekhuleni on the upside.
Oh God, it's Major League.
Oh, you nasty in it. Money kinda ugly, but you classy with it. Tell fall back with a ransom in it. Don't wanna pay the price, but you catching feelings. No candle, that was bad for business. These days they go shoot the witness. Let me give you some so you can't forget this. If I take one shot, I know go miss. Oh, you nasty in it. Money kinda ugly, but you classy with it. Tell fall back with a ransom in it. Don't wanna pay the price, but you catching feelings. No candle, that was bad for business. These days they go shoot the witness. Let me give you some so you can't forget this. If I take one shot, I know go miss. If I take 2 shots, then we'll go squish.
So make you give me one dance, I take that risk. Don't make me stand up in the rain, this ain't one wish. Now give me something for the pain, I take 2 sips. Give me something for the weekend. Give me something for the Easter. Do your body like a peace sign. In the meantime, if your man keep buzzing, we can make a beeline.
Maybe I'm selfish, don't blame me, can't help it. Cocoa brown skin sweet like chocolate, need a helping. Maybe I'm helpless, drop life till I empty. Cocoa brown skin sweet like chocolate, got me melty. Oh, you nasty in it. Money kinda ugly, but you classy with it. Tell fall back with a ransom in it. Don't wanna pay the price, but you catching feelings. No candle, that was bad for business. These days they go shoot the witness. Let me give you some so you can't forget this. If I take one shot, I know go miss. If I take one shot, I know go miss. Maybe I'm selfish, don't blame me, can't help it. Cocoa brown skin sweet like chocolate, need a helping. Maybe I'm helpless, drop life till I empty. Cocoa brown skin sweet like chocolate, got me melty. Maybe I'm selfish, don't blame me, can't help it. Cocoa brown skin sweet like chocolate, need a helping. Maybe I'm helpless, drop life till I empty.
Channel Africa, your voice, your sound, and your home. Stay logged right here. Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
Mzee alisema hakuna cha bure, huo msemo tumeutafsiri kinyume. Hata shule kuingiza mtoto lazima utoe mchoto. Kupata simu ni bala, road license bei nafuu utanunua. Kupoteza ID ni mashaka, twarudisha jamhuri yetu nyuma. Nchi ya kitu kidogo, ni nchi ya watu wadogo. Ukitaka chai ewe ndugu, nenda Limuru.
ukifika nyumbani ukipatwa na majambazi kupiga 99 masema sisi hatuna gari, lete 5,000 ya petroli zaidi ya utumishi. Mahakamani hela ndiyo haki, kwa 1,000 mshtakiwa ndiwe mshtaki. Utajiri huwa ushahidi, twarudisha jamhuri yetu nyuma. Jamani, nchi ya kitu kidogo ni nchi ya watu wadogo. Ukitaka soda ewe inspekta, burudika na Fanta. Nchi ya kitu kidogo ni nchi ya watu wadogo. Madawa zimeisha, mashiti za uzwa marikiti 100 kwa 100. Wafanyikazi waenda miezi bila pesa, ni bahati ukitibiwa. Mzigo wetu unazidi kuwa mzito, watoto 4 na mshahara wa 2,500 ya vitabu na viatu na vyakula. Nauliza na mbotela, je, huu ni ungwana? Nchi ya kitu kidogo ni nchi ya watu wadogo. Ukitaka chai ewe ndugu, nenda Limuru. Nchi ya kitu kidogo ni nchi ya watu wadogo. Ukitaka chai ewe mama, nunua Ketepa.
Imagine that. 18 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Chia kitu kidogo. Eric Wainaina.
Something like that.
Eric Wainaina. Coming to you from Kenya, Kenyan music this afternoon on The Upside. Thank you so much for tuning in to The Upside on Channel Africa, the African perspective, where we have conversations that matter. If it's trending, if it's on trend and topical, we are on it. If it matters to you, we are on it. And if it's music that stirs your soul, we have it on The Upside.
We literally have everything you need. Everything you need, okay? So in this hour, we are looking forward to being in studio with Hope Marega, a woman who carries confidence, resilience, all the good stuff when we look at particularly her roles as founder and CEO of the Archive Media. I love that name. She's an actress. She's a radio producer. She's a film curator. She's a film festival program director.
Yep.
So she's literally really just living out all her passions. So we're going to get to know her better, and we would love for you to get to know her better too.
Is that Archive Media House or Archive?
The Chive doesn't sound right. Because what language would that be?
Chief, I don't know. I don't know. Hope will answer. It's 20 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
Nkhanza zokhudza amuna ndi azimayi kapena kuti gender-based violence GBV zikuwononga mioyo komanso kuphwasula midzi. Zikuchitika m'manyumba, m'masukulu, malo ogwirira ntchito ndipo kwambiri mwakachetechete. Koma sizikuyenera kupitirira. Mukazimva yankhulani. Ngati mwakhuzidwa funani chithandizo. Chifukwa kusachita chilichonse sikuthandiza. Mverani kuma wireless onse 14 a SABC kuchokera lachitatu pa 23 mwezi uno wa Julai kuti mumve zokambirana, malangizo, masewero, zionetsero za maphunziro ndi mafunso okhuza nkhanza za amuna ndi azimayi ndi akatswiri, anthu opulumuka ku nkhanzazi, kukhazikitsa lamulo komanso dziko lonse lokhuzidwa ndi nkhanzazi. Zonsezi pa wireless yomwe mumayikonda ya SABC. Imbirani pa nambala 0800 428 428 kuti munene za nkhanzazi kapena kupeza chithandizo. Nkhanza zokhuza amuna ndi azimayi zimatha ndi inu. Uthenga ukufikani kuchokera ku SABC.
África. Conhece o Ntivani?
Claro que sou eu.
Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel África.
Okay.
Adivinha só, a Channel África quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel África está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music@channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Let the upside transport you from Cape to Cairo every weekday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time.
I want to know.
26 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. We went all the way to Mali this time around on the upside. Fatoumata Diawara. Nterini. I tell you what, there are fans in South Africa who listen to Malian artists, and we have such in studio as well, because Hope Mareka is has a plus one in studio who's doing the social media content, but also a massive Fatimata Diawara fan. And I didn't know we get so many of them in South Africa. You are one of them. I thought it was just you, in all honesty, Mmatsheko.
No,
I honestly thought it was just you.
No, here's an interesting fact. West African music is very popular. Very popular in Southern African countries, including Zambia and Zimbabwe. Malian music is when you talk about one destination that has, that has people's hearts, it's definitely the Malians. You know, that desert blues that came from the likes of Ali Farka Touré, right up to the feminines like Fatoumata Diawara and Umu Sangare and Rokia Traore and Bako Dagnon. I mean, we could go on. Very popular.
You're just name dropping now. It's 27
Very
minutes
popular.
after 3 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to the Upside. If you just joined us with Tebogo, Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Join us on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok, so you can join in on this conversation. You can see our lovely guest Hope in studio, and I'll allow Mmatsheko Mosito to grace us and introduce the amazing Ma'am Hope.
Ma'am Hope. She's too fabulous to be. Listen, but a lot of people.
Queen Hope.
A Queen Hope sounds good. We can work with that because a lot of people call her Hope for the hopeless. Okay.
Oh, come on.
That's who she's known as, because she carries the confidence. She shows the resilience and the love for everyone and everywhere where she touches. Of course, we've introduced her name. Hope Mareka joins us in studio in her capacity as the founder and CEO of Art Tribe Media House. She's a qualified actress as well. We've mentioned the work that she's done in radio production, film curation, film festival programmer, and so much more. So her work, as we acknowledge it, actually extends to leadership roles, okay? As an administrator of the Independent Black Film Collective, and she's also an assistant festival manager of the Joburg Film Festival. That's an interesting fact. And her contributions and her talents are of course, multidisciplinary. If you look at them, she's here and there, and she's really just living out her purpose. She also serves as executive producer of the award-winning Val Breakfast Show. Okay, that's Voice of Wits, right? Yeah. And she works as a project and production manager at Zikona Sodlaka Productions. Let's make a drum roll. Like, we're specialists at this.
Let's do it properly. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Upside, Hope Mareka!
Welcome, Miss Hope.
Thank you. Hi.
So wonderful to meet you in person. I was telling you just off the record very quickly about how we were stalking you on your Instagram. And you're doing a lot, and you're just having a good time, Yes. And yeah, I like that. That's the first thing I saw is not what you're doing, is that you're having a good time whilst you're at it. So talk to us about the journey of hope. You're clearly living out the call of your name, giving hope to the hopeless. But yeah, talk to us just briefly about who you are and how you became this wonderful woman.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Hope Mareka. Kingwanyana wa Mosito, Kitswa Bloemfontein, and I'm an African storyteller. I love stories, and thank you for inviting me to the Channel of Africa. And I was listening to you guys speak about the music from the different worlds. Yeah. That's me, hey, Kimo Africa, and like you said, I'm really, really enjoying what I do. It's a lot, but every day I wake up for my purpose, you know. I'm an actor. You said it. You said all the things I do. Yeah.
And listen, we're going to unpack all of that because we have you for the rest of the hour. And quite a few conversations that we want to have with you. But for now, let's get the latest in sports with Musibudi Makura. It's 31 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Very good afternoon from the sports desk. Now, the South African Football Association says the state is deliberately delaying progress in the fraud, corruption, as well as conspiracy to commit fraud against its president, Dr. Danny Jordan, as well as the CFO, Ronnie Kluyo, and as well as the two other co-accused, Trevor Neethling, as well as Grit Communications. Now, the matter was again postponed on Friday at the Commercial Crimes Court in Palm Ridge to the 12th of September, pending a decision by the new acting DPP in Gauteng on the representations made by the defense attorneys to make it struck off the roll. Now, through their lawyer Lesedi Mphahlele, the association says whatever the decision will be by the new NPA boss, there's still the delays because they challenge at the High Court is not likely to be heard this year.
And as we are today, we are in the middle of August. The state or the DPP still have not responded to the representations or the consideration of the representations which were made early in 2025. 8 months later, we're still sitting with postponements. So it is very clear. It is very clear that the state will continue delaying this matter. I don't see how the trial will be set down anytime during this year of 2025.
At the same time, Mphahlele also says the state is being disingenuous in their view that it is the accused who caused the delays by challenging the search and seizure at the High Court.
The application to set aside the search and seizure was brought before this matter when all the accused people were charged. It was brought months before. I think the application to set aside the search and seizure was brought about 2 weeks after the search and seizure happened. The search and seizure, I think, happened on 8 March, and 2 weeks later, during March, the application was brought. The accused were only charged and brought to court in November. So how can that be self-created? All the accused were doing were exercising their own rights to be able to bring that application in the High Court to set aside the search and seizure.
Onto this now, Brazil forward Neymar left the field in tears after Santos suffered a 6-0 home defeat by Vasco da Gama last night. The loss was the biggest of Neymar's career, and it also was the first time that Santos have conceded 6 goals at home in a Brazilian Serie A match. Now, the 8-time champions are 2 points above the relegation zone, and the coach Salaba Xavier was sacked hours after Sunday's game. Former Liverpool as well as Aston Villa forward Felipe Coutinho scored twice as Vasco da Gama claimed their first win in 6 league games and their biggest league win in 17 years. Neymar returned to his boyhood club in January of this year after the termination of his contract with Saudi Pro League side Al Hilal. The 33-year-old signed another 6-month deal in June, and since rejoining Santos has claimed 6 goals as well as 3 assists from 21 games in all competitions. On to athletics news now. A record field of 12,000 runners lined up for the season finale of the 2025 Total Sports Women's Race held at Marks Park in Emmarentia in South Africa's Johannesburg City on Sunday in support of Pink Drive. Amidst a stellar lineup of world-class athletes, Salem Gebre of Ethiopia emerged as the strongest competitor of the day, powering to a well-deserved victory with an impressive time of 33 minutes and 27 seconds. Naheng Kalata of Lesotho came in second, while Deborah Kiprotich of Kenya was in third place. The first South African to cross the finish line, Karabo Mailula, claimed fourth place in a deserving time of 35 minutes and 9 seconds. And finally, Formula One leader Oscar Piastri will have a grandstand named after him at the season-opening Australian Grand Prix next year, by which time the McLaren driver could be returning home as a world champion. So the Melbourne-born 24-year-old, who has yet to stand at the who has yet to stand on the Albert Park podium in 3 attempts, leads British teammate Lando Norris by 9 points after 14 of the season's 24 rounds. Piastri has also won more races in a single season than any other Australian driver since the World Championship started back in 1950, with 6 so far this year, along with 3 second-place finishes. Well, that concludes your sports news this hour. I'm back with the final sports update for the day in the next hour. As always, for any sports stories you'd like to share with us, just simply send us an email. That's to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or give us a call. The newsroom line is +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosito Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Whatever you want to hear about today's talk, you can get it on the upside.
37 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the business news now from Matapelo Mahabe.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo, and good afternoon. Starting off with the story, the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities in South Africa says that the public sector has the lowest number of employees with disabilities compared to the private sector. Minister Sindisiwe Chikunga revealed this in her reply to a written parliamentary question from the Economic Freedom Fighters EFF party. The party wanted to know the total number of jobs opportunities the department has identified and created for qualified young adults with special needs. The minister says in the past financial year, government employed 9.5% of people with disabilities compared to the 1.2% in the private sector. Chikunga says the department will soon publish a circular that will assist government departments in terms of interventions and strategies to monitor the implementation of the target to reach 7% in 2030. And the National Union of Metal Workers says it is committed to finding a new investor to replace a Goodyear tire in Grega in the Eastern Cape province in South Africa. The union has set a 2-month time frame to explore options and attract a new investor to the area in an attempt to mitigate the devastating job losses and their impact on the local community. The Labour Union has announced a settlement with Goodyear South Africa following the closure of its Grega plant. The deal covers severance packages that start at over $5,600 for each worker. NUMSA General Secretary Irene Jim says that they will now focus on attracting prospective investors in the area.
To this effect, with the support of national government, DTIC in particular, IDC has made an expression of interest to Goodyear to take over the plant infrastructure. And both government, NUMSA, we are looking for strategic partners that can co-invest and take over the plant with an intention of saving the jobs that will be lost as a result of Goodyear closing the plant. NUMSA shall do everything in its power to ensure that an alternative solution is found to otherwise catastrophic impact of Goodyear South Africa. NUMSA as a union appreciate the positive response we receive from government.
And global thermal coal producers are expected to curtail outputs as low prices of the fossil fuels persist amid an uncertain economic outlook. This is according to South African coal miner Thungela's outgoing CEO, July Ndlovu. South Africa's top thermal coal exporter reported an 80% slump in its profit to $14 million in the 6 months to June 30th, mainly due to lower prices for the fossil fuel. And school heads in Zimbabwe have vowed to join teachers in demanding better salaries, declaring that they will not report for duty when schools open next term early September. Ordinarily, school heads do not participate in any job action, often acting as enforcers of government policy. However, last week they vowed to stand in solidarity with their subordinates as they also feel the punch of the economic hardships. John Kasim reports.
For the first time in the history of teaching in Zimbabwe, headmasters who are also managers of the schools have vowed to down tools when schools open next month. The school heads, through their Zimbabwe National Union of School Heads, failed to reach an agreement with their employer, the government, over salaries. Last week, they vowed to stand in solidarity with their teachers as they also feel the pinch of the economic hardships. Headmasters, just like teachers, are earning very little, around $300 a month.
And Syria faces a potential food crisis after the worst drought in 36 years has slashed wheat production by around 40%. This has squeezed the country's cash-strapped government, which has been unable to secure large-scale purchases. According to the United Nations Food World Programme, around 3 million Syrians could face severe hunger, with over half of the population currently food insecure. In a June report, the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization estimated that Syria faced a wheat shortfall of 2.73 million metric tons this year, or enough to feed around 16 million people for a year. A look at your financial indicators. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,531. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 24. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 35, and Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 12. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 39. Russia is 80 rubles 2. India, it's 87 rupees 50, while in China it's 71 18, and in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rands 57 cents. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 85 cents to the euro. A look at your commodities. The gold is trading at $3,348 and platinum at $1,335 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $66 a barrel. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business News, I am Mmatsheko Mahape.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
This August, we celebrate the strength, brilliance, and unstoppable spirit of African women.
It was the women themselves who strove for and got the changes by lobbying, going through NGOs, and by networking.
That's you, ladies. From the boardroom to the classroom, from the marketplace to the microphone. Women are leading, innovating, and transforming our continent every day.
Oh, here's to knowing that as a woman, your voice can change the world.
Your voice matters. Your story inspires. Your presence is powerful. This Women's Month, we honor you. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
No matter where you are, Channel Africa is always with you. This is The Upside for the best African vibes, groundbreaking content.
44 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Welcome back to The Upside on Channel Africa, the African perspective, with Tebogo, Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko, Mosito, with you all the way to 4 p.m. Central African time. Catch us live on our social media platforms where you can stream our lovely conversations, see the presenter, see our amazing guests, and then you tell us if the voice matches the face. Add Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and add Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. We are still hanging out with the hope of the hopeless. Her name is Hope Mareka, and she's still hanging out with us in studio. Hope, let's talk about your creative journey. We mentioned acting, we mentioned that you're doing radio production. By the way, we'll celebrate you now with your awards. Talk to us about where the creative leg of your journey started. Did it start off with acting? Was it music? What inspired it? And how did you find yourself where you are right now?
So I started as professionally as an actor. I went to school. I studied to be an actor, and in my second year, I started doing theater productions.
Okay.
So that's my entry into the industry professionally. But I've always been an artist. So personally, it's from birth. Yeah, and I started as an actor, and you know the journey, it has not been easy. So that was not easy. And because of that journey, other doors were opening. And I'm a big believer of using all your gifts. So that's how I found myself in other spaces. And honestly, it's when I moved to Joburg. I studied in Cape Town.
Okay.
And after I studied, I was unemployed for a very long time. And 3 days after I arrived in Joburg, my life changed. I went to the Joburg Film Festival and I said, what is that? And I started by volunteering at film festivals. And that's how I entered the film industry. And then in terms of radio, my friend one day was like, Chomi, they're looking for people at VOW. And I was bored that day. And I went, and God was like, babe, let me bring you in here.
I've got plans for you.
Yes. But that's how I started. Honestly, my beginning in the industry service. I'm a server.
I love that.
I'm good at serving. I'm able to really see vision and run with it. So that's my beginning in the industry.
I am shocked that her parents allowed her to do this. Parents are like, you're going to study this acting thing professionally. We're going to put money behind this thing. No, go study being a doctor or an accountant. We don't really do that. So I'm quite impressed that you had that support structure that allowed you to go and study your area of passion. And even though in the beginning it didn't amount to what you had hoped for, it opened up certain spaces to where you are right now, which is an award-winning something. We'll talk about it now. Don't worry.
No, absolutely. You know what I love? It is the one base for everything that you do is that you are being of service. And isn't that what radio is really? It's not a self-indulgent place. It really is a place to serve people and to teach and to inform and to do all those wonderful things. But you've also done incredible work through your involvement with South African Women in Dialogue and the Hope, the Destiny Hope Foundation. Talk to me about that side of things, because it's very easy to fall into the glitz and glam and then forget yourself in the day-to-day in the business. So you continuing to really be of service and sort of that trinity of community, creativity, impact, all of that.
It is more blessed to give than it is to receive. I am here to give. I'm not here to take. And too many people come to the entertainment industry to take. I am not one of them. And similarly, in my life, I'm my mother's daughter. And my mother is such a giver by nature. On her birthdays, she would go and feed other people that are homeless. That's my mom. So I grew up watching that, and I was like, when I grow up, whatever I'm given, the little that I can give back, I want to give back. And South African Women Dialogue is a phenomenal space that is empowering women. And not only women in the boardrooms, not only women who are CEOs, not only women who have power. It's women in the rural areas who have the courage that is teaching our kids. It's the woman who is plowing that spinach that you take for granted. So it gives the voice to women. And Destiny Hope Foundation is a foundation that's fighting for young teenagers who are struggling with identity and how do they enter the tertiary institution. I think Black people have an issue with dreaming. We don't dream. We don't have the permission to dream. We don't have the luxury to dream. Everybody, when they are in grade 9, grade 10, and I get it, there's anything wrong with those careers, but what about my dream? So for me, my biggest offering actually is dreaming. Even with the kids, go to school long, like like what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to be? Even you, what do you want to be? I think as people, we're always giving up on the possibility of better. And I am in literally Hollywood right now, like sipping on a cocktail, and I just produced the biggest film. That's where my mind is. That is where I live. So I walk like that. I believe it. And I know that when the world around me is starting to celebrate me, they are just coming in on conversations that me and God have.
Man, I love that.
It's you guys are the ones that are getting the excitement. So I'm actually just sitting back and watching him build what he said. But I'm just a dreamer. Like literally, actually, yeah.
Oh, darling.
Hope for the hopeless. Hope, you're such a remarkable human being. And I want to tap into who inspires you to keep going forward, who inspires you to push through when things get tough. And I'll ask that question right after this. It's 9 minutes before 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802.
Stella Longwe pamalonje.
Palitusokoma pano pamalonje kumvera nyimbo za mu Africa kusangalala kupeza moyo akuti kumva moyo kuti kuyenda bwino pano pamalonje ndiyetu apa tili ndikatswiri oyimba ameneyu ndikatswiri wa dziko la Malawi amene akukhala mdziko la South Africa ndipo amayimba amene akuti ndi Big Nick Malawi. Yatusani kuti kodi moyo wanu woyimba ukuyenda bwanji mu Johannesburg?
Moyo woyimba ukuyenda bwinobwino kwambiri, chiliyonse chikutheka ndithu bwinobwino.
Ayi aziwoneka chiliyonse chikutheka mofa magrasi anu apa mwaka akuti kumenya yonse aziwoneka zoti azikutheka ndithu mu Johannesburg.
Malonje pa nthawi ya 6 koloko kufikira 7 koloko madzulo. Lowiruka ndi Stella Longwe.
Let the upside transport you from Cape to Cairo every weekday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time.
It is 7 minutes before 4 p.m. Central African Time. She is called a hope for the hopeless. Hope Mmatsheko still joins us in studio. And I wanted to find out from you, we are running out of time, but I want to get as much out of you as possible. Who gives you hope? Who inspires you when you're pushing through challenging times, when you are paving paths that no one has ventured into before? Who gives you hope?
Honestly, it's black people. Black people are the hardest working people I know. In history, we've built the world and they take the credit. The black people inspire me every single day. I want to be better because I want my people to know that there's more for us.
Yeah.
That's the political answer, but that's really my answer. But in terms of people, if you want me to reference some people, wow, so many people inspire me. Broadcasters that inspire me. It's like people like Anelem Doda, you have Charlemagne.
Charlemagne.
Yes, Charlemagne the God. People that inspire me, it's Oprah Winfrey. That woman inspires me so much.
Okay.
She is a force. And people can say a lot about you, but something that Oprah said once, your legacy is how you made people feel. And she made me feel like I can conquer the world. And my role model since it's the same thing. Like she gave me the permission to see that somebody else is doing the things that I know inside that I am drawn towards. And it's like, damn, she's doing it. Why can't I? And then in terms of film, wow, filmmakers need to be clapped for. I'll clap for them.
Yeah, all of us must. All of us must.
It is a lot of work to make a film.
Yes.
It is so much. The budget, the crew, the story. It takes so long. It takes over a year.
Yeah.
The writing process, the editing, the production. So filmmakers in this country inspire me so much. They labor for our stories, and they're not known. Actors, we see them, we know them, they're in our homes.
Yeah.
But the filmmakers with their stories and their ideas are not seen, they're hidden. So it's really, for me, creatives inspire me. Creatives, black people, my mother, yeah.
Of course. Everything you've said, I think that is such a beautiful way to view the world that you live in, you know, and to be inspired at that level. It's just, it's really big. I want to talk about your founding of Archive, right? Media House, and what that's about, because it sounded to me like it's quite a bold step, right? Because you were literally starting something from scratch. So yeah, what's the hope for that space?
Your archive, to me, and the world will see, is one of Africa's biggest media houses. Archive is about celebrating us. We don't have to go to Hollywood or go to London to be great. You can be great at Channel Africa. We are great. And for me, I love the system of Hollywood, the way they built it, about celebrating each other and having like community. And I saw in South Africa, like, we don't have community.
No.
The musicians are there, the radio people are there, the filmmakers are there, the models are there. We don't know each other. We don't celebrate each other. We don't invest in each other. I know my friends. I'm going to go to my friend's art piece. How about you go? It's not your friend. How about you celebrate? So for me, Archive is about creating a platform, a community of African artists. We have the podcast. That has changed me. I've been able to sit with great African storytellers and hear their journeys about how did they make it, what keeps them alive, like what you doing, like hearing people's perspectives. For me, Archive is about that. We have lots of installations that are going to come up, press junkets, really getting to know the artists. For me, it's about the artists. I want that culture where we know who are the radio people, we know who are the models, and we celebrate them. That we're not crying to be paid, or we're not in our 50s and we've labored to this space and it doesn't labor back to us. I want to create an ecosystem that is unity. And it's hard. It's hard to say the things that I'm saying and to live them.
Two different things.
It's hard to live them, but if it's my cross, I will carry it.
Somebody's got to do it, girl. And I'm so happy that it's a woman doing it. And when you said ecosystem, my heart started to beat faster, because you are literally rebuilding the industry through the work that you are doing. Because, I mean, everything that you've said, I agree with. The way things are currently, we're not moving in the right direction. We've got to know each other. We've got to see each other. We've got to support each other. We just require that sense of community. Otherwise, you just really are just going to fall off this wagon, and that's not what we want.
We don't want that.
We're all
We
talented
want all
people.
of us to thrive.
Yes, we're talented people. We all need to move together, you know, and also building a sense of awareness about why we do the work that we do, and why we're having these conversations, all of that. We need another 3 hours. Like, we need to hang out. Do you know what I mean?
We can definitely hang out.
What she needs to do, invite us to a podcast.
Yeah,
we can have a proper conversation.
I
But
love that.
let's leave it
I
here
love
for
that.
let's park it here for today and say congratulations to you and your team at VOW.
Yay!
Winning best breakfast show. A quick shout out to your team there and the people who listen to VOW and celebrate you.
Yay! VOW breakfast to the world.
I love
Well
that.
done.
It is now officially 4 p.m. Central African time. That means that we have to depart, leave the studio, and hand over to the Queen of Africa in business. That's Tami Ngubeni. From us, the Upsiders, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's hang out again tomorrow. Goodbye, Africa.
Goodbye.